of it. But also bearing in mind that, like I said, 4 former winners here, 8 people who have never won it at all, and bearing in mind, only 10 people in the entire history of the EU Arms Challenge Cup have actually won a Challenge Cup. The last one was Junior, when they won it for the first time back on the 46th entry. So you get the general idea. There's a whole lot to focus on. There's a whole lot going on, and it is going to be Frogget on the left-hand side of your screen, Sheddy on the right, as we get into round 1. Brass versus Ribbon Ring, and away we go. So it's going to be Lockjaw and the Boomerang for Brass. Sheddy, meanwhile, coming in with a Roaster and the hottest of slaps. So both coming in with a curved utility, and both coming in with very different variations of weapons. The Lockjaw being one of the more unique arms in this game, flings out that fireball when charged and then follows up with the rest of the punch. Meanwhile, the Roaster and the slaps, very good combination to go up against Brass with, both a lot of hotness, and if a fire elemental hits you just like that, you will immediately drop to the floor. And especially for a character like Brass, you definitely need to be hitting those consistently, as Sheddy is doing. Does get picked out of the sky by the Boomerang, but again, already has such a massive health lead. Goes for the rush, but not going to get it. Gets the shield up in time, and will take no further damage from that. Frogget on the cusp of critical already though, which is how good a start Sheddy has had, and another successful ping. Brass goes into big old critical intimidation mode and scores with the rush as well. Can't quite get the juggle they were looking for, but again, gets at least some form of damage. Certainly better than what Sheddy did. And it's always scary going up against Brass in this perma-buffed up state. Finally manages to find another Roaster hit. Sheddy needs to find at least one more hit like that, and they will take the first point. And that is indeed how they will do so. So our 2-time former champion taking the initiative, but can they take the full point? And the answer is, well, if they start off like that, it could very well happen as another charged up punch, pretty much back to back, and jumps straight into Brass's face, juggles on up with the hot slap, and that is so much damage already on the board. Gets away with the grab as well. The Scully finally does find a way to poke on through, as Frogget is going to bring out a much quicker and also much lighter arm. Can be punched through pretty much anything, but again, that quickness can certainly catch you, and that stutter never really helps a character like Ribbon Girl when they want to just kind of keep that momentum going. Having said that, that's another successful grab. One more hit will do it, although a double punch like that stacks it up. Points and stat can go up to about 3, but Sheddy will not let that bother them in the slightest as they get themselves another successful poke, and that is going to be the first point and lead for Sheddy after a 2-0 game. So, good start for Sheddy. Always what you like to see. An interesting choice for Frogget to really go with the Lockjaw against Ribbon Girl. Actually kind of had some really good hits in the first matchup, but unfortunately just got away from them in that second match. Sheddy had such a comfortable start, punching through the grab attempt, scoring 2 times in a row with the charged up arms, and then just jumping into Brass's face and scoring with the rush. It was such a good start from Sheddy, and we're used to seeing that from them. You know, they are a 2-time winner for a reason and showing off their skills beautifully with that Ribbon Girl. Not getting scared, not getting intimidated by the max pass, although they were pinned in that corner initially on that first point. So Frogget doing a fair amount of work nice and early on, definitely showing that they've still got the potential to win matches, but going up against Sheddy is always going to be a hard enough feat. So we'll see what happens from here. Remember, the winner bans 2 stages from the list of 7, that's the 5 starter stages and the 2 counter picks, and then Frogget can pick whatever stage remains for us to move on up to. And we're going to see Temple Grounds make an appearance, so sticking to our tried and trusted starter stages for the time being as Frogget readies up. Remember, if you do end up winning a match, if you change fighters, you do have to announce it, but neither of these players wanted to do so, so it will remain as Max Brass versus Ribbon Girl. Brass on the left-hand side of your screen, Lockjaw and the Boomerang still pretty much going to come up to fight out the high mobility of Ribbon Girl. It's going to be Roaster, and now the Bircher coming out as well. So again, very different combination of arms going in with this one. Not the usual boxing style you would see in a gimmick-free zone like Sparring Ring. We've got the 4 pillars and a bit more of a wider stage to dance around with. So the Birchok will try and slow down Max Brass, rid them of that bulk-up ability. They're also still scoring with that Roaster, which is incredibly ideal for Sheddy, because again, it takes a heavyweight character down immediately, because without that, they're basically just phasing on through your attacks and can still catch you on a rebound. So, to be so careful as a result. Another Roaster just pokes away at Froggett's knees, sends them straight back down. Both going to go in for the rush, but unfortunately, it is going to be Sheddy who lands the majority first. He's never going to really have anything go against them at that kind of range. And Sheddy has a massive health lead going in towards 40 seconds. Does manage to get a pick with the boomerang at least, so it keeps Sheddy at bay for a little while longer. And the Lockjaw scores with the fireball as well. Sheddy was really hoping to get a bit of a confirmation with that Birchok, but just did not happen this time around. Rocket continues to fight for another day. And again, pokes on through with the Lockjaw. That fireball really coming in massively clutch here for them right now. And trying to pin Sheddy in that corner. Gets the rush going as well. But Sheddy again, with that fast moving Ribbon Girl, is just going to keep them at bay. Another boomerang hit though is going to draw the health somewhat level. The freeze is going to hit though. Unfortunate for Frogget. Had that Birchok not gone through, they might have had a chance to be able to take that, but unfortunately freeze into a grab. You hate to see that happen, but Sheddy is going to yoink that point straight away from them. I'm going to dribble on back to the hot slaps. Definitely didn't like the fact that Birchok wasn't quite working for them for the most part, but it did get them that crucial grab opportunity in the end and start with a 305 rush, but immediately gets a big ol' hug from Frogget and that Brass, who is again going to come in with that Scully alongside the Lockjaw, trying to go for that quickness, trying to outpace Ribbon Girl as best they can. Both going in for grab, both missing with them, but Sheddy is just right up in Frogget's face, and again, the confidence of Sheddy to go for this kind of style of play. Does get caught by the Scully twice, but again, doesn't really bother them too much. You see them stutter all over the place as a result, but it doesn't matter in the slightest. That is a rush confirmed. That is a 2-point game again. And Sheddy is going to win this set by 2 points to 2 and make it on through to round 2. Yeah, very comfortable performance for Sheddy in the end. That first point seriously looked like it could go away from them, but unfortunate for them, that Birchok really put pay to Frogget's attempts there. Really good matchup between the two, and definitely good to see Frogget back in action. And hopefully we'll see them again as they work their way up through the underground bracket. But again, Sheddy, that 2-time winner, showing off that experience, showing off that confidence. The second they realized that they were able to get the upper hand, that second point was just, goodness me, that they just went straight in with it and did not look back. Certainly didn't look like they were going to lose that point anytime soon. So, with that being said, Sheddy does make their way through into the next round, where they will take on Yam in round 2, so that'll be a very interesting matchup. Ghost has taken out Yoshi Bowser by 2 points to 0, so Yoshi will be joining Frogget down in the underground bracket. Grimwood will take on Ghost as a result. So we will wait to see what confirmation we will have for when the next matchup will be happening. Aloya and Spike I do believe, are still competing as well. The winner of that match will take on Replica, and the winner of Okrim Penzo will be taking on Riffa. So, pretty nice start. We generally have ourselves a bit more of a... I feel like we're always used to the round 1 matches generally ended in a 2-0 fashion. You know, it's very rare we see the round 1s go the distance with these kind of things, but you know, you expect to get pleasantly surprised, and especially when you haven't seen a player like Frogget around for a long time, and it's good to see them still performing well. Still definitely working the max brass pretty nicely. Just unfortunate that Birchok went against them in those last closing seconds. Otherwise, that could have been a very different matchup, because you feel like if Rocket had at least been able to score that point at least, definitely changed the complexion of the rest of that match. So it'll always be how it goes. But hopefully you're all enjoying yourselves in the early stages. We will be getting ourselves into round 2 in just a moment. Whilst we are waiting, do remember that this is the last cup before the PR seasonal point cutoff. So yeah, all to play for here as it stands. And to be fair, I feel like if anybody is able to get a win at this stage, it will definitely propel them up that leaderboard nicely. I mean, you know, Riffer is Riffer, and Riffer just wins. You know, he's a 20-time winner. He is the reigning champion, so it's always going to be a tough hill to climb. But especially when you've got people like Grimwood and Replicant, Iceman, and Junior all chasing Riffer, all trying to book themselves another cup win. And then you've got the likes of Yam, who are looking to finally break that glass ceiling and get themselves the first win. Like I said, we have not had a brand new winner of the Challenge Cups for a very, very long time. Like, I think like 46, was it? Yeah, 46th Cup was when Junior finally managed to win a Challenge Cup of their own. They've since won a second one in the midst of all of that. But yeah, 22 cups. What was the last time we had a brand new winner? So Yam has had 6 podium finishes at this stage. You feel like they're just knocking on the door of that cup win, and you just kind of want to see it happen. But then again, there's also so many other people behind him that are looking for that as well. Penzo has never made it to grand final. You feel like they have the ability to potentially make it. And to be fair, they did take the fight to Okrim, a 2-1 set. So we do see a round 1 match go the distance, and it was between Okrim and Penzo. But it is going to be Okrim who gets the better of them on this occasion, 2 points to 1. Very good to hear that kind of match go the distance between those two. So definitely going to be looking out for Penzo and Frogget going through the underground bracket. That is going to be a lot of fun to see. Lawyer and Spike are still going through at the moment, but it looks like it is going to be Ghost versus Grimwood for our round 2 match that will be coming up next. So my friends, we are getting ourselves set up for round number 2 of the 68th EU Arms Challenge Cup. It looks like the lobby is already up and set to go, so we'll be hopefully joining them in there in just a moment. We're waiting to see the lobby actually open up. I should have Grimwood added. I thought I had Ghost added as well, but apparently Ghost has vanished off my friend. A lot of people are vanishing off my friends list as of late, and I'd like to know what is going on. So many people are just vanishing at the moment. Yeah. I am confused why Grimwood is not showing here. Kind of. There we go. There we go. Now we got it. Okay, I was gonna get so confused. I was just like, why? Why can I not see this lobby? There we go. Alright, and now we are in. I was getting so confused and so worried, but we are finally gonna be in. both of our two players are set and ready to go. We've seen these two do battle plenty of times beforehand. It'll be Ghost on the left-hand side of your screen, Grimwood on the right. As we go back to Temple Ground, so starting where we left off in round 1, it'll be Ghost coming in as Coil, Hydra, and the Boomerang. Grimwood on the right-hand side of your screen, Nade, and Tri-Blasted immediately gets poked on the right-hand side. Obviously, both of these arms are explosive, so if they do get disarmed, they do force a self-destruct, which Ghost basically has that little extra bit of damage to deal with. Having said that, we also know what Coil is like. Coil could just stay in that air for such a long time, and also gets to throw out a third arm. It is randomized on that charge, so it'll either be 6 bolts of fire, or it'll be 2 boomerangs, and both of which are just as scary for Grimwood, since it goes all the way around those pillars and does a lot of damage, especially if the Hydra does hit. Heck, even if both of them hit, if the boomerang hits, it also swipes Grimwood off their feet, and they are already going through a lot of pressure here against Ghost. Tried to go for that grab, not going to get it. Ghost tried to go for the juggle on the rush, also doesn't get it. Grimwood was just a little too far away from them, and Ghost is going to get the boomerang punish as well, so neither of them got any purchase with their rush whatsoever. Now there's only one pillar left. Yep, there you go, that's them all done. Just over 30 seconds left to go. Ghost does have health lead, but Grimwood in that perma buff state, always at an intimidation factor, but that grab is going to slow them down just a little bit, gives Ghost a little bit of breathing room, and they know that Grimwood has to come at them. They have to make the first moves here, and all they need to do is just find one more poke through and hold on for the next few seconds, and they will take the initiative. But again, Grimwood is just relentless, not stopping. Finally does get caught on the back foot, and it's going to be Grimwood who is going to drop down. And Ghost takes the initiative, but can't they keep this up against a 7-time former winner? Immediately goes for the rush. Got a little bit of damage, but Ghost not only just drifts right on over there, but also gets a little bit of a punish of their own. Hydra gets a poke, not quite charged, but again, the damage does start to add up, so Grimwood can just phase on through that unflinching stature of Max Brass. But again, you don't want to be taking too many hits. It does start to add up. Grimwood just takes the center stage, just tries to keep Coil in this corner. It's a lot harder to float on out of there, even with Coil's abilities, but again, finally does get a knockdown, both with rush set and ready to go. Another attempted grab for the a little extra damage, but not going to happen. And also, bait using the rush as a fear fight, a little bit of intimidation, trying to catch Coil on the back foot, got them with the grab instead, doesn't get anything with the actual rush, but does have health lead, and that they will absolutely take as we go towards 40 seconds to go. Catches with the Tri-Blast as well. That's a massive health deficit that Ghost has to find a way to work on through. They do have rush ready to go, but they are not wanting to use it at the moment. Scores with the Hydra, and Grimwood knows they cannot afford to take too many more hits like that. Boomerang is just a little too far away. The Hydra does force a self-destruct, so Grimwood needs to be very careful here. They almost have a rush of their own ready to go, so they could yet deploy that if Ghost wants to go in for a hit of their own. 10 seconds left on the clock. Ghost has to make a move, and they have to make it pretty much now. Grimwood pinned into the corner. They know full well they can take this hit. The grab will not do enough damage. It puts them very close, but it's not enough, and Max Brass will take a point back. So one apiece between these two. Who is going to actually get the first point in this set? And here we go again. Hydra and the Boomerang going to be at the ready, but this time around it is going to be a nice rush confirmed from Grimwood. 270 damage, and immediately backs up, knowing full well that Ghost will likely want to try and utilize their rush. I'm actually surprised that Ghost has held on to the rush, especially as Coil could charge up the rush so quickly with the amount of arms that they fling out on a regular basis. So I'm surprised to see Ghost holding onto it for as long as they did. Arm weak on the left hand side for Brass, but it does fade away in time, and again catches Coil on the back foot. They're keeping their health lead at a nice little margin here, not taking too many hits. Again, getting poked every now and then, but thankfully the Hydra isn't charged up enough. And again, another rush coming out here, but this time it's going to be Ghost who gets the better of the exchange. By the time, patiently played. 335. We also meant that Grimwood did not get anything with their rush and is on the cusp of critical. Make that into critical now, with Ghost having a pretty substantial health lead as we go into the last 30 seconds of this matchup. Grimwood a couple of hits away from going down. Ghost cannot afford to get too complacent here though, as the grab is going to do big time damage. 170 puts them on the cusp of critical. Gets another Hydra hit. They're looking for one more hit. Both of them are at rush now, and anything can happen at this stage of the game. They're both got a rush, but it's going to be Grimwood who steals the point away from Ghost. Ghost will be feeling that one. They were so close to be able to take a point away from Grimwood, but it not to be on this occasion, and we are going to see Grimwood just quickly hop on out and reset their router. Apparently they were not happy with how that matchup was going. They did at least manage to win it, so we will see what happens after that. But Grimwood not happy with how that matchup was going, so at least breathes a sigh of relief about getting that point very close between these two. And Ghost definitely wanted to make a name for themselves. They have had a third place, and quite recently at that. They have managed to do that, I think 4 cups ago. That was their first time on the podium, so Ghost definitely feel like that they're improving with every match that they play in. Potentially might try and vie themselves for a contender for going into grounds as well, but we'll see what they can do from the situation that they are in. But yeah, Grimwood again managing to hold that out in the end. The 7-time winner. Could have been incredibly close. Could have been very hard to come back from if they'd have if that had gone the wrong way. So, as we wait ourselves for match number 2 between these two, we can report that I do believe Spike had to forfeit their match between Aloya. So Aloya does go through on a pretty much on a bye at that stage. They will go up against Replicant in round 2. So everybody in round 2 will now be starting off. The underground bracket has not officially started just yet. That will start once everybody in round 2 has completed their matchup. So the losers of the matches in round 2, they will all go up against different people in the underground bracket. So in order, the loser of Ritha and Okrim will take on Spike. The loser of Yam Sheddy will take on Yoshi Bowser. The loser of Grimwood Ghost, which is the match you're currently seeing here, will take on Frogget, and the loser of Replicant Aloya will take on Penzo. So some very spicy matchups could be had in the underground bracket, let alone in the semi-finals when we do eventually get around to doing those. And obviously we will stream both of the semi-finals when that does come up. But yeah, just waiting for Grimwood to return. I guess it would not be an EU Arms Challenge Cup tournament without a little bit of delay. In terms of internet shenanigans, but you know, like I said, these things happen. They are part of our wonderful esport community. But yeah, analysing that last matchup, both of them very evenly matched, it must be said. Definitely a couple of points that I feel like both could probably improve. I mean, obviously, you know, Grimwood is a 7-time winner, you know, showing off that experience, showing that expertise, definitely being caught on the back foot in the early goings from that boomerang. And again, those Hydra pokes, whilst they weren't charged up, they were still finding a way through. They're chipping away at that damage. And again, whilst it doesn't phase a character like Max Brass, because that's part of being a heavyweight character, it's one of those perks that they have added. But again, you can't afford to be taking too much of that, because it slowly starts to add up, as you very much saw towards the end. Put them in a very precarious position. But again, a character like Max Brass, they have that critical damage buff up the second they hit that critical state. So it's probably why they don't mind taking those hits, but also they don't want to concede such an amount of health too early on. Like, they don't want to put themselves at a massive deficit, because the higher the health gap, the more consistent they have to be with their hits. Likewise to Ghost. Ghost was definitely doing very, very well to keep Grimwood slow down, keep them at a pace that they liked to play at. And always, having a chance to throw out that third extra arm whenever they really have it available to go. And especially if they can catch them on the back foot with it. But also at the same time, pretty much the second point, there was not really a rush to be seen from Ghost. And they held it on whilst Grimwood went through like 2. So it's one of those things. Some people are like, using rush. You don't always have to use rush every single time you have it, which I absolutely understand. The whole point is trying to find a position where you're actually catching your opponent off guard to be able to punish with the rush. But having said that, a character like Coil, who does charge up a rush so quickly, I feel like the second you get a whiff of an opportunity to be able to hit with that rush, especially if you're Coil, you may as well go for it because you'll pretty much charge it back before your opponent gets to another rush. So but then again, everybody plays characters very different ways. Like, I've seen so many people play Coil, and each of them have a different way of playing her. So, Ghost, we saw how patient they were in that third point where they bided the time they had the rush, they waited for a mistake from Grimwood and then capitalized on it, which, to be fair, that's all well and good, and that is very much how we do things. But I definitely feel like a little bit quicker with Coil. But again, to each their own. If it works for you, it works for you. And they very nearly got that point away from Grimwood, but unfortunately, choosing to try and go for that counter rush, again, I don't feel like it was the ideal decision, but again, in the heat of the moment, these things will happen. So, it looks like we should be just about ready to go for our second match in round 2. Hopefully we'll have that up for you in just a moment. Remember, this is for a place in the semi-finals, so try and go after that podium positions where everybody wants to be. I am going to have to go back at some point and figure out how many different people we've had on the respective podium positions. Like I said, I know we've only had 10 people on the top step. But I definitely need to figure out how many times we've had people on second place, how many times we've had people on third place, because I feel like that would be a very interesting statistic. Like I said, we've had 68 cups and only 10 people have won, which tells you everything you need to know about the consistency from specific people. Riff 120 for crying out loud. Iceman and Yada, they have won 13 each, I do believe. So it's like, between those 3, they've won so many times that it's just like, you have to hope for a bit of luck sometimes. Like, you'll get into a tournament, you'll get into a cup entry, and you'll be like, oh, there's no Riffer, oh, there's no Iceman, oh, there's no Yada. This might actually be a chance to get ourselves on the podium, maybe even fight for that win. But again, you've got people like Grimwood, you've got people like Rafa, you've got people like Junior, all eyeing up that record sheet, all wanted to get themselves another win under their belt. Grimwood has won 7 of these, for crying out loud, so they have that experience, they know what they're doing. So, like I said, 22 cups since we had a brand new winner. Everybody wants to be there, but it's beating these big names that really, really puts it into a much bigger picture. And we are going to get ourselves set for match number 2 of round 2. Ghost versus Grimwood. Coil versus Twintel. Grimwood. Okay, Grimwood did announce that they were switching up. I didn't look at the Discord that time. I was about to say Grimwood switching from Brass to Twintel. They did indeed announce it. So Roaster and the Shackram coming on out. So trying to make that disc and hit as much as it can, especially against a character like Coil. Again, getting the stun and straight into a Roaster poke. Exactly what Grimwood is looking for against Coil. And unfortunately, Ghost moving at the last possible moment and immediately got caught with that rush. Grimwood onto a massive lead in the early stages. Triblast and Boomerang not quite working as consistently as Ghost would like to, as Grimwood's pressure is just unbelievable. And another direct hit with the Roaster puts Grimwood on set point. The first matchup between these two was incredibly close, but that point was very one-sided on the side of Grimwood, as Ghost is going to switch out that Tri-Blast for the Hydra and see if that fares them any better here, as Grimwood is going to have their arm weakened on the right-hand side initially. It's going to immediately pop on back there, so be a little bit careful. Slowly starts to fade away, and Ghost again taking that central area, trying to keep Twintail pinned against the walls here, and actually does hit with the rush as well. So 345, make that 365 damage from that rush. A really good showing there from Ghost. Very, very good in the early stages. Rush is going to come out from Grimwood and gets punished for it as well via the Boomerang. And this is more like it from Ghost. The Roaster is not going to find a way through, and the Hydra is definitely being the better switch between the two. Finally does get some damage knocked off against them on that Shaft Gram. Again, a second one hit him, but Grimwood couldn't take advantage of it this time around, and the trampoline comes out. Now this is going to be absolutely fine for Ghost, because Coil just floats on over it. It just completely ignores it. But it is giving Grimwood that little extra range to get that Shaft Gram off and maybe still catch Ghost on the back foot. So, as the Roaster again gets another direct hit, and Ghost's health lead has dropped drastically. Grimwood is a rush away from getting the KO and actually is gonna get it. And that is unfortunate for Ghost. Such a good showing, but that first point was so dominant from Grimwood, and the second the trampoline came out, again, it looked like Grimwood was just not going to give that up. And the the 7-time champ is going to make it on through to the semifinals. 2 points to 0. Well, Ghost did everything they could, but Grimwood is going to get the better of them. Did not like how close that first match went to, and just immediately started in such a dominant fashion. So Grimwood is going to book their ticket into the semifinals, and surprise, surprise, so does Riffa. Although I haven't said that, Okrim again, another 2-1 showing with Okrim involved. But it is going to be reigning champ Riffa who does make it into the semi-final as well on the other side. So we will soon find out if it is going to either be the top 4 seed or the 4-time winners making it through. That will be the deciding factor here. Meanwhile, we have indeed got confirmation that Spike has indeed dropped from the competition, so Okrim does get a bye for their Underground Round 1 match. They will immediately make it through into Underground Round 2. So we are just going to wait to see what the other 2 matches will be available. Once they become available, we'll get the match underway. It's basically whichever semi-final readies up first. So whilst we wait for that to happen, we'll take a quick little break. And when we come back, we will have the first of our 2 semi-finals. Welcome on back to the 86. Wow, I absolutely got my numbers muddled up there, didn't I? Welcome on back to the 68th installment of the EU Arms Challenge Cup, where we are going to start the first of our 2 semi-final matches. And boy, do we have a very interesting match to take you through here, because it is going to be Sheddy, a 2-time winner, going up against the 20-time winner and reigning champion. It is indeed going to be the Riffer Revolution. So, very interesting matchup between these two. It's always great to see these two duke it out in the middle of the ring. Remember, we are still in best of 3 territories at this stage, and yeah, some really interesting developments in those round 2 matches. Sheddy took out Yam by 2 points to 1, so Sheddy does take that spot, so Yam unfortunately has to battle it out in the underground bracket again. But that isn't even close to the big story, because Aloria does take Replicant out by 2 points to 0 at that. So the heck is going on there? So we are going to have seeded 1 versus seeded 5, seeded 2 versus seeded 6. Which means that, ironically enough, we got the best of both worlds. We got 3 former winners in the semi-finals and 1 who has yet to win it. Well, we'll see how Aloy performs in the semi-final after this, because first it's going to be Riffer and Sheddy. Riffer on the left-hand side of your screen as Ninjara, Sheddy on the right as Ribbon Girl. It's going to be Triblast Ice Dragon versus that hip-hop beaten boxing roaster and Birchuk combination. And already you can see Sheddy just immediately going straight in towards Riffer, not giving them a moment to breathe. And obviously we all know full well the capabilities of the reigning champion. Riffer is doing everything in their power to just be an absolute nuisance to Ribbon Girl, but so far they have managed to pin them against the wall. So a really good start from Sheddy. Goes in with the rush. Unfortunately not going to catch Riffer in the slightest, who immediately comes back with a rush of their own. So much damage, 330. And Riffer again just played that so patiently, like we've seen them do time and time and time again. Does get a little bit of a hit from the Birchuk, but again, it's not charged up, so it doesn't bother them that much. And now slowly taking control of this matchup. Sheddy on the cusp of critical, and again, Ninjara's abilities just being able to teleport the second they get that shield up, alongside that jump in the air as well. It's just really putting a lot of pressure against Sheddy, just making them such a hard target to hit. And again, the Triblast is covering the kind of area that Sheddy would like to be in, with Ribbon Girl on the grab. Is going to yoink that point straight away from them, despite such a good start from Sheddy. It's Riffer who is going to take the initiative, as is usually the case in our opening point. Riffer actually going to bring in the windiest of slams as well now, as Sheddy goes for the Roaster Birchuk combination, but again immediately gets picked out by that Triblast. It's such an awkward thing to deal with, especially when you are a character who wants to be as mobile as Ribbon Girl. Just so many areas that can cover that hitbox, and yeah, Sheddy is not liking going up against that thing as of right now. Riffer finally does get hit with the roaster. In fact, 2 hits back to back with that roaster, and it's quick to see that damage come straight back the other way. Arm weak on the left hand side, gets caught with another hit with the slap. Finally comes in with the rush, finally gets the rush as well. 290, gets the finishing hit with the roaster, so make sure there is as much damage as they can possibly deal. Again, Riffer not scared in the slightest, not intimidated by Sheddy's performance. Another arm on the left-hand side, weakened and broken on through. 195 damage, pops them both into critical, and Riffer doing everything they can to keep Sheddy in this corner. Gives them less room to breathe, as you can already see. That's exactly what's happening. Arm weak on the right-hand side, could be broken if Riffer keeps this pressure up, and Sheddy knows that they have to get a move on here. They have to be so careful. Goes for the rush, but Riffer gets completely around it. Again, just baiting them out, being an absolute heel, and is going to take the opening point again. It's 1-0 in the set to Le Champion. I don't think anybody is surprised to hear me say that at this stage of Riffer's career. Like I said, 20-time winner, They are on a 2-week streak at the moment, having won it twice at this stage in a row. And Sheddy has it all to do if they want to just to roll back Riffa at this stage. Going to stick to Temple Grounds, going to stick with the same character, so it will still be Ninjara versus Ribbon Girl. And we'll see what Sheddy decides to opt for at this point. It is going to be Roaster and the hottest of slaps. Going to go up against that Triblast, and the Ice Dragon immediately goes onto the offensive. Unfortunately, not quite hitting the grab, but they are doing everything in their power to make sure that Riffa does not get that Ice Dragon up. But unfortunately, Riffa does kind of have a get-out-of-jail-free card in the form of that Triblast. It just immediately stops Sheddy the second they feel like they can get themselves an opening. Riffa just flings in with those bolts, and that's why it's such a awkward combination to deal with. The Ice Dragon does excel at range, but the Triblast really does excel when opponent just tries to get up in your face. It covers so much area, and especially when you're fully committed, the blast can just poke you with one of those bolts, and it's an absolute nuisance. The rush is going to come out, and Riffa inadvertently tried to cancel it out, but actually gets caught on the back foot there. Not quite the play that they were looking for, and gets caught with another hot slap, and Sheddy suddenly slowly trying to turn that back into their favor. But this is Riffa we're talking about, the revolutionary man himself, who just continues to just say nope, no comebacks for you. And just like that, a grab into another dragon chain, and that already puts Sheddy on the cusp of critical. And now again just being an absolute nuisance, but gonna get grabbed and thrown through both of those pillars on the left hand side. Sheddy is now into critical condition, still trying to go for those incredible hot slaps that could still wrestle it away from them. But again, with 15 seconds to go, Riffa does have the rush advantage. Sheddy doesn't quite have it charged up and ready to go just yet. And again, another bolt hit, and Riffa knows they've got this point in the bag again, provided nothing else happens. They know Sheddy has to go for a last second rush. It's just not going to happen. And there is the KO on the 0-second mark that gives Riffa the point. And that is, well, this could be another 2-0. Again, coming in with the Triblast and the Ice Dragon, and again, just pick Sheddy out of the sky thanks to that Triblast. And Sheddy doing everything in their power, but unfortunately doesn't quite get as much as they'd like. I mean, I say that 210 is still a lot of damage in terms of the rush, but again, Riffa just not going to battle either to it. Immediately pretty much goes level with that help, with just that exchange alone. And now, here comes the Dragon, 280 damage, didn't get the second juggle. So again, not as much as they would like to, but again, they've already got Ribbon Girl down to pretty much the halfway mark. Despite being in this corner, they are still keeping Sheddy at bay, although I haven't said that too. Very successful fiery chains in a row for Sheddy, but again, Riffa just straight back at them. Finally, the long range grab is going to connect, and Sheddy just does everything in their power, gets the wake up slap as well, waits now for Riffa to start launching their tirade, but again is not going to put any purchase with the rush at all. They just, unfortunately, just never seem to be consistent with that rush, and Riffa again gets away with that. Otherwise, that would have definitely been a lot of damage they would have not been happy to take. But another grab is going to keep that pressure on, but Riffa now does have the rush, and Sheddy knows they have to be so careful because Riffa can just end this at a heartbeat. And Sheddy knows with 20 seconds left to go, gets poked by the bolts yet again, and Riffa is just putting up so much pressure here that Sheddy is kind of a little hard to deal with, but does get another slap to roll on through. So 10 seconds left on the clock. Riffa has to go in for the KO if they want to take this by 2 points to nil. It would be cruel to see it snatched away from Sheddy like this, and the grab is going to come out. The grab comes out, and it has exactly done that. Riffa is going to take that. Oh, for crying out loud. Le Champion does it again, 2-0. And Riffa is comfortably through to the top 3 again. I don't think anybody's surprised at this point, are they? Very close from Sheddy, incredibly close, but it's just not going to happen again. Riffa just able to bait it out as always, gets a grab on the last second and just yoinks that point. Sheddy doing everything in their power to try and keep that set alive, but just not happening. It is going to be another victory for Riffa through into winners final. It means they are once again guaranteed another top 3 finish. Again, you kind of expect this from Rifa at this stage. And we get ourselves geared up now for semi-final number 2, which is going to be contested between Grimwood and Eloria. So whilst we wait for the lobby to open ourselves up, we will just give you a quick update as to what is going elsewhere in the competition. Ghost has knocked Frogget out by 2-0, so Frogget makes their grand return, but unfortunately is going to see themselves dropped after 2-0 set losses, 1 to Sheddy and 1 to Ghost. So unfortunate for Frogget, but it's been great to see you back. Hopefully you've had fun. And hopefully we get to see you again in a future installment. So we currently have in Underground Round 2 Ghost and Okrim. Okrim will take on the winner of Yam and Yoshi Bowser. Ghost will take on the winner of Replicant and Pento. Obviously on top of that, we now know that Sheddy will be awaiting the winner of Ghost. And whoever wins from Replicant and Pento. So that is that lineup already. The loser of this semi-final will go into Underground Round 3, where they will be basically placed ahead of Okrim, where Okrim obviously is taking on the winner of Yam and Yoshi Bowser. Remember, because this is double elimination tournament, that Underground bracket is always incredibly hot. So always have your eyes open on that bracket if you can. Exclamation bracket in the chat so you can follow along at home. But without further ado, we are getting ourselves set and geared up for semi-final number 2. Grimwood takes on Eloria. And I believe it was Eloria who set up the lobby. Oh, no, wait, no. It was Grimwood who set up the lobby. So, yeah, my bad. I did have them the right way around. Basically, the person who sets up the lobby is always going to be on the left-hand side of your screen because that's how this game works. It's always the person who is into the lobby first that gets the priority. So we are going to see sparring ring coming up between these two. Grimwood is 7-time winner. Eloria definitely looking to make a bit of a name for themselves here. I mean, most definitely wanting to make a name for themselves. Like, think about it. Eloria has only made it to top 3 once. That was the 38th cup. That was 30 cups ago. There's a time and a place to get yourselves an upset, to get yourselves back onto the podium. It's a set like this that absolutely holds some high stakes. Grimwood coming in with Kid Cobra, going in with those 2 big old gloves, those non-elemental beasts. Meanwhile, Eloria coming in with the Roaster and the Nade, immediately going to get caught on the grab by Grimwood, who again just pops Twin Tail straight out of the sky, and just again, how aggressive Cobra ends up being in a stage like sparring ring when there's not really much place to move. Grimwood just slips and slides straight on in, plays such an aggressive game, comes in with the rush. That will be a KO, and that is a very quick start for Grimwood. So, moving on to the second point already. Eloria is going to bring out the Megawatt. So, going to try and at least come in with some kind of a chain. But again, Grimwood is just incredibly quick, incredibly hot. But thankfully, he is going to get held down by the rush this time around. 310 damage with that Megawatt in tow. So, a lot of damage that they're potentially looking to chain in for. But again, as long as Grimwood can get a couple of gloves in on their selves. But it's such a quick, coily little snake as Cobra, but somehow those gloves managed to miss Twin Tail, both just deviating in the worst possible manner, and Eloria is going to get the shield up. It does get forced to break on the left-hand side, so Grimwood gets a tiny bit of damage through, but not as much as they would probably like to, and Eloria is going to get pelted on down into the corner yet again. Does have rush set and ready to go, and is going to deploy and behind their mark once again. Decent amount of damage. Didn't quite get the second juggle they'd like to, but Grimwood again on the cusp of critical, and this is a much better showing from Aloya. Grimwood dominated the very first point, but Aloya has came right back at them. The Megawatt really has been pretty much helping, has been at least able to deny some of these gloves, and the Roaster is still getting that quickness to go through, has to rush through, otherwise that Megawatt would have absolutely KO'd them, and Grimwood knows it full well. That was a very, very near miss for them, and the Roaster is still gonna find its mark, just as Cobra hit the floor, and Aloya not out of this yet, not content with how that initial point went, and they are absolutely going for it. Guma did think about bringing the slap in, but decides to stick with these big old boxing gloves. And so far, Aloya doing everything in their power to go for this. Unfortunately, could not get a third rush in a row. Not happening this time around. Grimwood breathes a sigh of relief. Keeps them very much in this matchup, and they are the next closest to a rush. But again, Aloya is not afraid to bring these gloves out. They're just keeping Grimwood at bay. But again, Grimwood's pressure is just unbelievable. Thankfully manages to shield, and Aloya, despite having the arm weak on the left-hand side, gets away with that entire exchange. Now it's back on the right-hand side of the field, but Aloya doing incredibly well here. Look at how much pressure Grimwood has put them under, like every single time another arm is weak on either side, but Aloya, credit to them, is not afraid of Grimwood. Goes in with the rush as Grimwood tried to slide in, and actually kind of got themselves a little bit of a backfired momentum there. Did not expect the rush to come straight at them, which I'm actually quite surprised at that. Frankly, they do have a rush of their own. Immediately launches that back the way. They're very close on health here as we go into the final 30 seconds. And again, Aloya is just looking for a couple of hits, but Grimwood again, this onslaught is now all up in their business. Grimwood is not going to slow down now. They know the KO is imminent. There it is. And it will be Grimwood, the 7-time winner, who takes the initial point after all of that. Very good showing from Aloya. That was not bad in the slightest, but hey, Aloya doing incredibly well here, managing to take that initial loss on the head. Immediately came back in the second point with 2 very well played rushes and some really good consistent hits. And even in that third match, even despite the fact that they absolutely lost that rush evade that they did, absolutely spot on. The arm was weak. Grimwood must have thought that they would have had some form of damage. But it just didn't happen. It just didn't come. I believe Aloya managed to find a way through that one, but hey. There we go. And we are going to see our first counter pick of the day. It is going to be VoD that comes on through, so Grimwood will stick with the Cobra. Aloya gonna come in with the Min now. Immediately charge up that Chakram because Grimwood really can't do anything from that distance. That is the nature of VoD. But again, those big old gloves immediately just rinse straight through Aloya, so the Dragon Arm immediately gets wrestled away from them. And nothing that they can really do about it. The Whammer, at the very least, does manage to find its way through, gets that a little bit of a flick, and just takes Cobra down. But again, they're not able to really push Grimwood into a corner as of yet. Does manage to find a way through with the Chakram at the very least, but again, Grimwood just jumps straight on into things, going for grab after grab. Finally does get called out on that, and another successful stun. Unfortunately, Aloya could not get a quick retaliation or advantage of that, and now finds themselves in the corner on their side of the field. Both on similar health though, but again, the trading blows back and forth. And now, finally, the 1-2 punch from Grimwood does manage to find its way through. Rush is going to come out as well. Not going to get any purchase this time around, but again, it's Aloya who has the work to do, and Grimwood knows that. They know that they can take their time with this. Aloya is in critical already. They're just a couple of hits away from once again taking control of this situation. And again, just boxing glove after boxing glove. There's just always seems to be no end to it, but the rush is going to come through. Could this KO? Not quite. They were needing just one more hit, and they know they've got to be so careful here, but the hammer goes through! Somehow the hammer breaks through, and that is going to give Aloya a chance to maybe take this set just that little bit further. Immediately double back to charge up that ram. It's going to be the roaster and the slap that's going to come out for Grimwood, and another successful hit with the Chakram. Unfortunately, Grimwood was waiting for that follow-up, gets the rush gets 310 and wrestles control straight back onto their side, and this is where that pressure is really just not gonna stop anytime soon on Grimwood's side of the field. And again, just flinging out the roast and the slap. Aloria just cannot get themselves into a position to really properly challenge, and another 1-2 hit from Grimwood quickly yoinks it straight back away. Again, the trade happens, but Aloy was already in the air, so immediately just gets dropped straight back down. Both have rushed, but again, look at the health deficit. Grimwood in complete control in this scenario. In fact, going to go for the rush. Actually got a bit too greedy there and gets caught on the punish via the ram, and that might give Aloy the incentive to really go for this actually. In fact, they're absolutely changes. Gets another couple of hits. That puts Grimwood in KO range. Would you believe that? The grab just about misses, and Grimwood gets the heck out of there. Both now find themselves in critical condition, and Aloy senses an upset in the making, and there is going to be a chance. There's absolutely going to be a chance. Aloria takes a 2-0. It's 1 apiece in semi-final number 2. Well, I know better. I should know better than this. I should know better than to get that hype, to see it start to roll, knowing full well that both Riffa and Grimwood have done this time and time and time again, where it looks like the upset might happen, but they manage to find a way to slowly wrestle back control. But Aloria is determined here. A 2-0 victory in Via as we now switch on over to Buster Beach. The winner of this will take on Riffa in winners final. The winner of this is guaranteed a top 3 position. Could Aloria make it onto the podium for only the 2nd time ever? It will be the first time in 30 cups, but we'll see how this plays out. It's going to be the popper and the clapback for Grimwood as they immediately try to keep control of this matchup. Meanwhile, Shakram and the Whammer continues to stay up for Aloria as they quickly double on back and get that big old disc charged up into its perma slot. It can only be wrestled away now if Grimwood does hit a popper hit or finds a way of knocking them down, but that disc so far is managing to do some amazing work for Aloria and actually putting Grimwood towards the halfway mark. Make that underneath the halfway mark. Make that another stun from Aloria. Aloria's playing out of their absolute mind here. A rush is going to come out as another KO. Not quite. They're looking for literally 1 point of damage. Anything from Aloria will give them set point, and there it is. Oh my god. Aloria is looking for 1 more point. That's all they need, but Grimwood is not gonna have this any other way. The rush will come out right at the start, but Aloria already backed up, already getting the shield up, does not allow Grimwood to get any kind of placement in this. Those big old gloves are always scaring. We've seen Grimwood do so much damage with them at the moment, and now forcing Aloria into that hot pocket, breaks the arm on the left hand side, and Aloria knows they cannot afford to get put under that much pressure there. Gets the shield up, so at least no more on that one. It's just chip damage and nothing more, but they've got to find a way to get through this onslaught of gloves here, because Grimwood again is just on another level. Rush is going to come out at the very least. Again, patiently played. The arm might be weak on the left hand side. They cannot afford to take too many hits from that. And again, Grimwood gets themselves another quick little knockback. Aloria on the cusp of critical. Grimwood does get clipped by the hammer though. That big old hitbox working against them as well. And another Shakram hit. Now Grimwood does have rush and is into critical. They have to go for this punch. They will nail the punch, but it's not enough for a KO. 215, and Aloria knows they've got to do everything. 1 more hit from either of these two, but it's going to be Grimwood who just about steals it. 1 apiece in the set. 1 apiece in the match. The popper is coming out now for Grimwood alongside that glove. They want to go for that quick response. They obviously know that they can absolutely play this kind of matchup now, and the popper can punish at the best of times. It can be punched through by anything, but it's such a quick little arm that it's really catching Aloria off guard. Does manage to find the rush, at least 315 damage. It slows it back down for the time being, but Grimwood immediately comes out. Doesn't hit it this time though. No rush confirmed for Grimwood. So Aloria gives themselves a chance, but again, that popper It's doing a lot of work here for Grimwood as it stands. The hammer finally comes from the 1-2 hit on the Chakram as well. Aloria is the closest to a rush. If they can get some really good hits here, they may still yet swing this from Grimwood. Another hit. 1-2 chain. Forcing Grimwood into the pocket. The grab is going to wrestle that back. So Aloria hit into critical. Arm break. Arm broken. Oh my goodness me. The arm's broken. It's not a KO. It's a KO. It's a KO. Do not scratch your eyes. You have just seen Aloria beat Grimwood by 2 points to 1 in the semi-final. Aloria, for the first time in 30 cups, is back on the podium. If you're gonna clip any moment of this competition, you clip that moment right now. Goodness me. Aloria hasn't been on the podium since the 38th installment of this Challenge Cup. On the 68th installment, they knocked Grimwood into underground bracket, the number 2 seed, the player who's won 7 times and been on the podium so often, has to battle it out in the underground bracket. I honestly can't believe I'm saying that. It is huge what has just happened here. So we go to winners final. Aloria versus Le Champion, Riffa. The always wins Riffa. The revolutionary 20-time winner, Riffa. Versus one-time podium finisher, Aloria, who has never made it to grand finals. I said that there was a time and a place for an upset. To beat Grimwood is a feat in and of itself. To beat Riffa is gonna take a massive effort. But who knows? Who knows how this will end up playing out? This is for a spot in grand finals. The loser will have to fight it out again in the underground final, but the winner is immediately into grands. Aloria versus Riffa. This is the definition of a David versus Goliath affair. The man who's won it all and then some versus Aloria. Misango on the left hand side of your screen. Min Min on the right. Best of 5. The first one of the stream today. Let us see where we take us from here. Cracker and the Mega One, it immediately gets leveled by the slap. Aloria is not messing around. Riffa has the blue mask up to give Misango that little bit of extra speed, but Aloria just immediately slaps the champion in the face. That is the first move of the set, and that could be how this entire set goes from here, as Riffa gets the shock with the what and the grab combination and immediately starts to try and pin Aloria, keep them at bay. And again, that Cracker is such a quick firing arm, and especially packing that fire element as well. It means that if Aloria does get the perma charged up, which they currently have on the slam, it means it'll immediately get this rope from them, this arm. Same too for the Megawatt, to be fair, if that does also land. And again, a stage like DNA Lab, again, caught by the slam actually. Riffa just a little bit unawares there. They know full well what a lawyer is capable of. They know not to underestimate them. And now with that yellow mask on hand, they know full well that it basically gives them the rush advantage as long as that mask stays up. But there it goes, robbed away from them as a lawyer gets themselves another curved arm and another curved arm charged up hit, and that is going to be a rush coming on out. A lawyer couldn't quite get the punish, but Riffa doesn't get any proper purchase on it either. Does get the grab just as a lawyer dipped away from that from behind the DNA tube, which was just a little bit unfortunate. Rush is going to come out, but again, Riffa with the blue mask actually got caught on the back foot though. And actually, I think that might give a lawyer health lead. I think it has given a lawyer. It gave a lawyer health lead just long enough to be able to take the initiative from Riffa. So a lawyer patiently played, knew full well they did just enough damage at the tail end of that rush. Riffa really got caught by surprise there and immediately gets the first bit of damage and the wake-up grab as well. Definitely not happy with how that first point ended, going straight on the offense, especially with the red mask equipped. It does so much more damage, and again, just tagging the lawyer with every little tickle. And the lawyer knows they've got a heck of a fight on their hands. The rush again, gonna completely disarm the lawyer, and immediately more damage chalked up against them. Arm weak on the right-hand side as well. Can't afford to take too much damage. I don't think Riffa's been hit at all this entire second point, and they are looking for the third perfect of the stream. Not gonna happen this time around though, as they do finally take a little bit of chip damage. And the lawyer, again, such a huge health deficit to reel on in here. Still getting a couple of tags here and there, but again, it's not enough to really phase Riffa, who is just completely just waltzing on by. Gets the cracker hit and quickly ties this first point up. So, Slam and the Power Sword once again. We've got the Cracker and the Coolerang coming up. And again, it's going to be another straight slap to the face. The lawyer, again, just basically telling Riffa they are not giving up anytime soon. There's still a long way to go in this set. And the lawyer absolutely playing out of their minds here. Baited it out, waited for it. But unfortunately, Riffa has the yellow mask. And that means the rush advantage will always go their way. It is an unfortunate mistake from a lawyer, but it's one that they'll certainly learn by going forward, knowing full well that that was probably going to be the answer Riffa was going to be looking for. And again now, Riffa just getting comfortable with this matchup now. Blue mask on hand, another grab. Tries to go through, but the lawyer is at least somewhat wise to it. But again, Riffa just keeping that center stage. Another 1-2 hit, just chains it away. At least the lawyer does manage to get the backflip off the grab as well. But again, this pressure from Riffa is just too much at the moment, and despite such a really good shot, I mean, the lawyer has had a solid showing all the way through so far. Gets another windy slap hit right in front of Riffa's face, who I guess must have thought that they had this point wrapped up and ready to go. Again, gets the yellow mask, and the lawyer is getting wise to when Riffa wants to pop that mask on. They immediately rob it straight away before Riffa can even get a chance to really start using it. But again, with 15 seconds left to go, Riffa is pretty much still in front, and there is going to be the KO, which finally does give Riffa the first point in this set. And so, Riffa begins their annual quest to book their ticket into the Grand Finals. Remember that they've been in the Grand Final 35 times. That is over half of the Challenge Cup tournament, to give you a general idea. Like I said, we're on 68 at the moment. 70, we haven't even hit 70 yet. And the fact that Riffa has been in the Grand Finals on 35 occasions, again, it tells you everything you need to know about the revolutionary champion that is Riffa. As we go into Buster Beach, Riffa gonna stick with Misango, a lawyer gonna hop on in with Min once again. They definitely had a bit of a hard time against Cobra on this stage in the previous set, but managed to find a way of wrestling Grimwood down and keeping that advantage on this side, even when they were pinned in the hot pocket. So we'll see if they can do so again here against Misango, who immediately starts with a solid 1-2 chain, as we would expect from Riffa, and also gets the grab as well. Just immediately start to get that little bit more comfortable. The second they get chains like that, you just generally see Riffa just immediately go, well, okay, I've got control of this matchup. I would like to be able to dictate the pace as we go on through. And again, another Coolerang hit, and because the Cracker is just such a quick firing arm, the second that Rang hit, it's an immediate follow-up, and Riffa again, straight in Aloria's face. Another rush confirmed, 305, I should say, from the end of all of that. And again, another hit from that Cracker. Every single time Aloria thinks they've got an opening, that Cracker is just on hand to wrestle it straight back away from them. Chip damage and nothing more than that. So it basically means that Riffa won't get a perfect from this situation. Does finally get caught by the Ram, a Fiery Disc version, but again, it's just too much for Aloria to fight into. And Riffa pretty much keeps most of their health alive and does not give Aloria a chance to get back into this. Aloria gonna go for double Ram, which is a very interesting pick to go for, and Riffa has decided to opt for the Seeker. He wants to go for those big time rush damage, but let's see if that ends up playing out. The missile is a fully guided arm, unlike pretty much every arm in this game. And it also has that massive electrical discharge as well, and that is going to be a lot of damage coming up. 365 puts Aloria on the cusp of critical already, and the Rams just really aren't hitting as consistently as Aloria would like them to. Already into critical condition. Riffa just biding their time. Does get caught by the grab on the back foot, kind of pinned into the corner a little bit there, but again, just bides their time just a little bit. They know they have the lead. They know that they just poke these punishes out with the Cracker. Another grab gonna come out for Aloria. At least starts to chip away at some damage, but again, that missile is just so scary, so intimidating, and Riffa is gonna hit in with one more Cracker to give themselves a 2-0 lead. Nothing much to say at this stage, except it's Riffa doing what Riffa does best, controlling the situation, just locking themselves in every single time, no matter what arm they come up with, no matter which fighter they pick, they always find a way of being able to just bring this straight into their own tempo and not letting go for anything. And Aloria really needs to try something pretty special. And in fact, we are going to see an interesting stage pick. Our second counter pick stage will be making an appearance. It is going to be Ninja College between Misango and Min. Both of our players sticking with their respective characters. We know Riffa could pretty much play as anyone. We know Aloria does switch between a couple, but Min is going to be the main choice. Chakram and Roaster going up against the Cracker and the Coolerang. Again, because of the nature of the stage, it does allow Aloria to get a free charge up on that left-hand side. So again, Riffa will have to just find a way of knocking them down to disarm that. And again, another Ram hit immediately onto Riffa, and they know full well they'll have to be very careful of that disc, and the Roaster is actually going to knock them down. And that they both are going to be playing a similar kind of game. They both want to make sure that neither of them hold on to their special abilities as long as they can, which is why they both have a fiery arm. They both have a curved arm to try and slow and stall them down, and that Cracker, again, just incredibly damaging to Aloria. It doesn't do as much damage as a lot of other arms, but again, it's that quickness that makes up for it, and that's a long-range grab that Riffa was just about able to get away with, and has the yellow mask up as well. So you know full well that Aloria will not be able to win out a rush exchange between these two, and again, being pinned into that corner now, Riffa just hanging about on the stairs, not allowing Aloria a chance to even remotely get going. Again, whilst the grab does miss, Aloria just cannot take full advantage of it. Such is the state that Riffa plays at. Only needs one more poke from pretty much anything to just take this through into set point. It would be a clean 3-0 for Riffa if that can end up being the case. They've only conceded the 1 point against Aloria in that first matchup, and already that is set point. Ever since they lost that opening segment between Aloria in the dying seconds, they have not looked like they were going to give up another game since, and Aloria knows they've got it all to do here if they want to find a way through. And again, rushing whilst Riffa did have the mask equipped, but it didn't matter anyway. Riffa had already managed to block it. So a wasted attempt from a lawyer as Riffa brings in the Seiki once again. The rush is going to come out. That's on a lot of, I say a lot of damage. 200 damage just from the missile explosion. Whilst Riffa wasn't able to get anything else on there, that is still a decent amount of damage just from what's essentially one punch. And now the grab to boot immediately pops the lawyer straight back down into the halfway mark, and just like that, Riffa is just slowly turning his back onto its head. The lawyer finally trying to pin them into a corner of their own, but again, that cracker is doing a lot of work, but a lawyer got a few pokes in, but again, Riffa with that red mask up, they're just shrugging it off for the time being, just immediately going straight back on the offensive. And the lawyer, whilst they do have the disc charged back up, they've got to do something special here to try and keep Riffa at bay. Again, manages to catch them as they go to equip the mask. So again, really good decision. And that is going to be... Oh, I thought it was going to be a cancel, but it wasn't. The explosion. The explosion from the Seiki again just takes it away from a lawyer. And with 20 seconds to go, and a lawyer in critical, and Riffa still past the halfway mark, it pretty much is all said and done here. The champion is going to be booking their ticket into the grand final, or are they going to get themselves another stun? Now they are. Now they are for sure. Riffa is in the grand final for the 36th time out of 68 cups. The reigning champion. Looking like that they are going to win themselves 3 in a row. And the laureate will have to drop into the underground final. Nothing else that they can do at that stage. It's Riffa just doing what Riffa does best. And into the grand final they go. And that is where they will wait as we look back now to the underground bracket to see what everybody else is up to. So currently, Replicant managing to best Penzo and Ghost to book themselves into underground round 3, while they will take on Shetty. Meanwhile, Yam has bested Yoshi and Okrim to book themselves into the underground round 3 match. So it will be Shetty versus Replicant in underground round 3 alongside Grimwood versus Yam. I believe those matches might still be happening, and if that is indeed the case, we will go to a quick little break. I'm just waiting for confirmation on that first. Yeah, that is indeed the case. Both of our round 3 matches are currently underway, so what we will do is we will cut to a quick little break. When we come back, we will have the top 4 for you. Shetty and Replicant, Grimwood and Yam, the winners of those 2 matches, will do battle to decide who will be booking their ticket into the top 3 and who will be missing out by just one very important best of 3 set. Do not go away, my friends. We'll be right Hello, my friends. Welcome on back to the 68th installment of the EU Arms Challenge Cup. We have something a little bit different coming up for you right now, because you see, Underground Round 3, it's taken a little while. So what we're actually going to do is we're going to jump into this set right before it finishes, actually. Replicant going up against Sheddy. Both of these two individuals are former winners. Both of these individuals have managed to clock in a game apiece between these two. So we are just going to get ourselves queued up for it, if I can find where the code is. I haven't got a code yet, so I'm just going to quickly hop on in here. Boop. There we go. Ask and I shall receive. So yeah, we are going to join into these two at one game apiece. The winner of this will take on Grimwood in the Underground quarterfinal. They were able to beat Yam by 2 points to 1, so nice to see both of the Underground Round 3 matches go in the distance. Grimwood forcing their way through Yam, so Yam unfortunately is not going to be able to fight for a podium position this time round. It is going to be Grimwood who waits in the Underground Round 4, which is Underground quarterfinal at this stage. But yeah, it'll either be Sheddy or Replicant. That'll be making their way through. So this could either be somewhat the kind of thing we'd be expecting to see. You know, the top three seeds of Riffa number 1, Grimwood number 2, and Replicant number 3 making it in towards that top 4 territory, or we might still yet see a little bit of a nice surprise where Sheddy could make it through, and that would be seed number 5. So you never know how this can end up going, but we are going to hop on over to Temple Grounds for what is going to be a very crucial match. The winner of this will move on into top 4. Replicant on the left hand side of your screen as Lollipop, Hydra and the Birchup to their name. Meanwhile, Sheddy staying with the Ribbon Girl, staying with that Roaster and that Tribolt, as we are used to seeing. And already getting picked out by the Birchup on this occasion. The Birchup does have 2 different modes of attacking and immediately gets the freeze, and unfortunately Sheddy cannot react to that grab in as quick a manner as they'd like to. Immediately gets put onto the back foot via Replicant, who again just using the pillars on Temple Ground to just give themselves that little bit of extra protection. Also has the ability to just waddle along as well with that shield up. One of the very unique characters to be able to do that, just still be able to move with the shield deployed. Bite in with the rush as well. 190 damage sends Sheddy straight into the corner and maintains a massive health lead going in towards the final 30 seconds of this very, very crucial matchup. And again, another hit in onto the side. Does finally get picked up and juggled a little bit in the air, but Sheddy knows they're going to have to do a lot more damage if they want to be able to turn the tide, let alone utilize that rush, which I don't think they'll be doing unless they can get them underneath that halfway mark. Another successful hit in, but again, Replicant straight in with that Birchuck, and that grab will absolutely get the KO. So, Replicant just needs one more point, and they will book their ticket into the Underground Round 4, and again, have to start off with that initial shield, and also gets the shield up in time for Sheddy's rush as well, who is not going to find any purchase, and again gets caught with the Birchuck, and then straight on through with that Hydra as well. Does manage to return the favor with a Roaster hit of their own. Do remember that the Roaster is a fully unguided arm, so it requires a lot more precision, but the exchange for that is a lot more damage as well. Replicant very much feeling the burn of that Rooster. Managed to get another couple tags as well with the Hydra. Arm slightly weak, and Shetty immediately has to sort of like dip and dive. At least gets some of that damage away from them. Arm very much still weak on that right hand side too, but again, managed to give themselves a breath of fresh air, gets the hit on Replicant, sent them down for the time being, and now just trying to go back into a bit more of a recovery position and now bring the tempo back into their field of play again, trying to keep that central area. But again, Replicant, every single passing on hit, they know full well that they can still take this set away from Shetty. Both on very much similar health, but it is going to be Shetty who does score with the rush this time around. Sends Replicant down into critical condition, but crucially, they are not too far away from having a rush charge up, and they do have it ready. Another successful Bird Chuck hit for Shetty. They are on the cusp of being KO'd here, but it doesn't matter. The Roaster finds its way through. One apiece in the set, one apiece in the match. Both will stick with the Bird Chuck, so it'll be Hydra versus the Roaster. Shetty halfway up in their rush. Replicant has the rush advantage, but will they make good use out of it? That remains to be seen. The Hydra is going to bounce off the shield this time around. Definitely find their mark on the next time of asking. And again, Replicant just being a bouncy ball of fun. Scores with the rush as well. 305 damage. And definitely in a much more comfortable position here in the early going. Shetty does now finally have rush ready to go. But again, Replicant can be such a hard one to get through with that rush, especially since they deploy that shield at any pretty much moment. Does come out with the rush, but again cancelled out by the Hydra. That's the last thing Shetty needed. At least managed to score a rush, but they're going to have to play super aggressive here. And Replicant knows full well they have the utilities to be able to deny Shetty that kind of an opportunity. Already have rush ready to go. Heck, Shetty is in KO range if the rush can hit, but another successful poke through with that Roaster, and another grab as well. Really good read from Shetty. It pops Replicant underneath the halfway mark, but the Hydra again just runs clean through Ribbon Gold. Pretty much, I think a grab might KO. Might still just be a little too much, but again, with all of this chip damage now, for sure, anything from Replicant will definitely do the goods. It'll be chip damage and nothing more, but both arms weak now for Shetty, and they know full well they can't take damage, and Replicant, crucially, is not gonna bat an eyelid to it. They get the shield up, they wait their time, and the grab immediately seals the deal. Replicant is through to the top four. 2 points to 1 against Shetty. Very good game between these two, but it is going to be the top 3 seeds as we would usually expect to see in that top 4 situation. A great showing from Shetty once again, just missing out on top 4, but still really good to see them back in the swing of things. So Underground round 4 will be coming on up. It will be Replicant to take on Grimwood. And this is where things are going to get that little bit spicy. We've got one more best of 3 left for you all to do. After this, we'll be going into best of 5 situations. So how will this play out, especially when you look at the tails of the tape? When you look at the stats, Grimwood, 7-time winner, has made it into the podium positions so many times. 12 second places, 3 third places. You get the general idea. Replicant, 3-time winner, 5 times on the second step, 7 times on the third step. Not as consistent into the grand finals as Grimwood has been, but again, has the abilities, has the potential there to be able to take the fight to Grimwood. So we'll see. We'll see how this will end up playing out between these two. Remember, we do have ourselves a very interesting situation where, yes, these are seeded number 2 and seeded number 3, but they're not playing to see who makes it into the grand final. No. They are playing to see who can actually make it into top 3 on this occasion, because you see, Eloria got the better of Grimwood earlier on today. Pretty big shock, not gonna lie. Making it into winner's final. for only the second time, I do believe. And it's incredible to see. It is incredible to see a Lawyer make it into the top 3 positions for only the second time in their Challenge Cup career. Their first one coming 30 cups ago. Again, surreal to see that, surreal to hear that. These two are fighting to see who will go up against the Lawyer in the Underground Final to determine who will finish in 3rd place and who will book their ticket to take on the revolutionary champion themselves, Riffa, who has made it into the Grand Final for the 36th time. Oh, it still feels surreal saying that. It really does. But yeah, this will decide who will just miss out on the podium and who will book their ticket into it. Again, you feel like once you see the stats, once you see everything that you generally expect to see, you would think it would be Grimwood. But again, we've seen Replicant be able to show up time and time and time again. So anything can still happen, and they will be absolutely determined to really mix up this top 3 placement. But we'll see what they can do. Remember, this is our last best of 3 of the day, and we've had some fun so far. So as the stages get themselves banned, as Aloria rates in Underground Final, as Riffa rates in Grand Final. Our first match of what is essentially the Underground Quarterfinal is about to begin. Temple Grounds is where we will be heading on off to first. It just seems to be the regular occurrence for today is Temple Grounds. Every now and then we have a different stage bring on up into that kind of threshold. Today I guess it's Temple Grounds' turn. So Grimwood is all set and ready to go. Replicant is finally readied up as well. So our final best of 3 of the day is upon us. Replicant on the left-hand side of your screen as Lollipop. Coming in with that Roaster and the Birchuck. Grimwood, meanwhile, it's all about the brass and how you handle it. Double nade is going to be the pick for Grimwood to go in for that all-explosive goodness. And whilst they do get caught on the chill, at least manages to find a nade hit of their own. So both traded those first initial blows. But it's going to be another successful hit from Replicant on that Roaster. And it's going to wrestle that away from Grimwood for the time being. But again, Grimwood is such a bulky character. There's a lot to punch through. And even when you do get them into that critical situation, you always know that is where so much more damage, well, most of the times, awaits you. Like, you're always getting hit by Grimwood in that position, no matter what you try and do. And the rush is going to come up from Grimwood immediately. 290 damage. Pops Replicant on the back foot, pops them on the cusp of critical already, and actually gets himself a self-destruct in front of the pillar. Not the smartest move Grimwood's ever done, but I already know what they were going for. They were trying to get that pillar down. And again, backed into the corner now by Replicant, who is not allowing our big old brassy boy to get out of there. Rush is going to come through. That grab, 305 damage. Gets the bulk up. Didn't get the finishing punch that Replicant would have liked to have gotten. So whilst Grimwood is in critical, it's the Roaster that actually finds a way through. And Replicant's playing this pretty patiently, not gonna lie. The Birchuck not gonna quite find its mark. Yeah, it is the Birchuck. And it actually finds it on the second time of asking. And Replicant, despite being on the back foot for a fair amount of that match, the second they pinned Grimwood into that corner, it almost like the match just completely shifted into their favor. And just like that, it's going to be Replicant who starts with the initiative. But again, Grimwood with that stun into that big ol' hug combination just catches Replicant off guard. And another successful rush for the brass. 280 pops Replicant underneath the halfway mark. Does not get the grab this time around. Replicant gets a couple of free hits. But again, if the Roaster ain't charged, brass is just going to ignore it. Finally does get shrunken down thanks to the nature of the Birchuck. But again, stays on their feet. Finally does get planted with the Roaster and now pinned back towards the corner. Replicant already in critical. And that, I'm afraid, is gonna be a KO. That Chakram stun into a grab when you're already in critical is the last thing you want to be hit by. And Replicant gonna immediately start with that first punch. Finally does find the target that they are looking for. Again, another roaster just runs clean through Grimwood. Make that 2 roasters running through Grimwood. Back, make that 3 roaster hits in a row. And Grimwood not happy with that exchange in the slightest. Another quick little 1-2 poke from Replicant, who just quickly goes on the back foot, shield up and walling on back. Grimwood now bulks up into that critical state, but look at the health lead already. Grazes with the rush. Can they force the shield break? Not quite. Grimwood immediately comes in and gets themselves a bit of a breather, but again can't get the knockdown punch that they were looking for. Replicant just needs to find one big punch. The arm is so weak on that right hand side, but again, Grimwood is such a big old bulky scary monster in this state, and Replicant knows they have to be so careful with that. And finally they find the way through. The roaster does manage to get the pick. It was all they needed. And Replicant really with an absolute flyer there in that first part. Gets the point, gets the job done. Replicant leads by 1 point to 0. A very, very close matchup there between those two. Grimwood definitely had a very comfortable point, and then Replicant immediately bounced back with a comfortable matchup of their own. That was, I don't know where in the world that came from Lollipop, but goodness me, that was everything they could have wanted. 3 successful roaster hits in a row. Just absolutely, just really caught Grimwood completely by surprise, and Replicant did not slow down in the slightest in that matchup. So they know what's at stake. They know they've got a chance to really just tip the scales against Grimwood on this occasion, and it would be, well, to say it would be shock would actually kind of be an understatement, bearing in mind that the last time Replicant was in a top 3 position was the 61st Cup. We've seen Grimwood make it to Grand Final so many times between now and then, so it would count as quite the bit of a shock if Replicant can turn the tables here. And they do lead by a point to 0 as we head in to Buster Beach. Both immediately bulking up on their respective sides. Replicant inflating, Grimwood getting their muscles all the way up and being those big old pecky cheeks, but gonna get tipped down by the roaster. And again, back-to-back roaster hits for Replicant, just waddling on forward, just giving Grimwood so much to think about. And despite having such a quick arm in that pop-up, Replicant is slowly finding their way back into this exchange. Does get the shield up in time, and again, just trying to cancel out that chakram and get the roaster to punch on through the popper and find its mark on Grimwood. The second it hits, Grimwood will absolutely know about it, and already down past the halfway mark. Both combatants with a rush ready to go. Chakram does at least manage to do enough of a distraction for, again, to allow the popper to fling on through via his, well, I say via, Lilla does not want to be caught in that hot pocket, much like in Viados as well. These two stages very much can go against Lola Pop if Replicant is not careful about it. But having said that, Grimwood is on the cusp of critical, and Replicant knows a successful rush could indeed KO, but Grimwood with 30 seconds left on the clock, that is surely going to be a KO. Juggled up into the air, beautifully baited out. Grimwood was just waiting for that moment. And the second they knew that they could get one successful poke with the popper, the second one was not going to see a rush not take place there. It was always going to be a strategy from Grimwood. And what just happened there? So Replicant, whoa, wow. So Replicant went for the rush. Grimwood at least caught them out of it. But then Replicant went, fine, I'm going to grab you anyway. And despite not getting anything with that rush, is actually in a much better position anyway. Like, what in the world was that entire exchange? Replicant went, fine, screw you then. Here's a grab and all of the damage anyway. So you may as well have just landed the rush. Because Grimwood is already in critical with Replicant having such a massive health lead. And they know full well, I mean, they've still got a full minute to try and put away a maxed out, very annoyed Grimwood. And again, this pressure is just unrelenting for them. Again, another successful popper hit, but again, such a massive health deficit, but we know how quickly that can turn around in a perma critical state. Max Brass, but again, time is slowly ticking away from them, and they do manage to punch on through yet another grab attempt. And I think this is what Replicant is all about at this stage, just parking the bus, keeping that range and knowing full well that Brass has to come to them, and find their way through with the roaster in the end. One apiece in this match, but crucially, it's set point now for Replicant. Can they do this? Well, Roaster Coolerang versus Popper and Nade, and Grimwood will not want to have an exchange like what just happened in that previous point there. And as the usual dance-off begins, Grimwood knows they've got to win this to keep their top 3 chances alive, but jump straight on in to another unprotected, charged up roaster hit. They cannot afford to be taking too many of that, and another 1-2 poke comes through for Replicant. So getting off to a pretty decent start and gets the shield up, waddles towards Grimwood going, what are you going to do about it now? Because I've got another roaster with your name on it. And again, despite not getting all the way through, they do finally find the purchase with the rush. 355 damage. They are pretty much looking for anything here to take Grimwood out of the top 3, which would kind of set the balance quite nicely. But again, Grimwood in that perma-charged up state gets the popper hit, knows full well they've got it all to do here, and Replicant cannot afford to get carried away. They know they've got to be so careful. Another successful popper hit, and it's Grimwood in rush capabilities, but the roaster pokes through! The roaster poked through! Grimwood activated rush, but Replicant had the wherewithal to go for the hits anyway, and there it is! Replicant beats Grimwood by 2 points to 0, and having been in the grand final on back-to-back occasions here, Grimwood does not make top 3 this time round. Welcome back to the podium positions, Replicant. Wow. I don't think I need to tell you how different, how unique this top 3 is. With the exception of River, this is a very different podium that I was expecting to see here. Like I said, between these two players, Replicant hasn't been here for a few cups now. Like their last third place appearance was the 61st cup, so it's been a while. For Aloria, they have only been in the top 3 position once in their life, and that was 30 cups ago. That was the 38th installment. So I don't think I can begin to describe how big this is right now. The records are there for a reason. Replicant last made it into a grand final on the 54th entry. So again, it's been a while for Replicant to book their ticket into grand finals, but Aloria has never gotten there. The stakes are high right now. They could not be higher. So, we'll either have Replicant back in a grand final for the first time in 14 cups, or for the first time in 68 occurrences, we will have Aloria crack the ceiling and make it into grand finals. It's like, whichever way you slice this, this is going to be huge. Like, think about this realistically. We haven't seen Replicant in Grands in 14 cups. We've consistently been seeing the cups go back and forth between Riffer, Junior, Riffer, Iceman, Riffer, Grimwood, Riff. You get the general idea. Like, one of those previous names wins it, only for Riffer to yoink it straight back into their possession. It's generally how it goes. So Replicant wants to finally get themselves back into a winning position, to get a chance to get a 4th cup added to their resume. For Lawyer, well, they've been at this position only once in their Challenge Cup career. We've seen how much they've learned since then. We've seen how much better that they have become at this game with every passing competition, every single one that we go through. And we've seen Aloria slowly learning, slowly taking points away, finally taking games away, and now taking these massive sets where they matter most. The shift that this could potentially do if Aloria wins here is an understatement in and of itself. So we'll see. We'll see how this goes. But this is big time. You have no idea how much I would love to add a brand new name to the grand final resume. Like, seriously? Remember how Sheddy consistently tried to crack that ceiling and being able to get into a winning position for the Challenge Cup, having dominated the Scrapstar series for such a long time and then finally getting to the grand finals? You were like, finally it's starting to happen, and then Sheddy finally went on to win not just one but 2 of these competitions, and it's like, it was like you finally had that euphoric release. You're like, finally Sheddy managed to beat and get into that final segment. We've seen it time and time again with other people as well, when we've had people immediately emerge as a really good hot shoe. We've had people who have been around for such a long time and finally managed to crack through. Heck, it took Junior, I feel like some people will say it took Junior too long to finally win. But again, when they finally break through, it's like they've got that cup finally underneath them. They have that brand new win. So the pressure is on. And I don't know how it'll play out. And remember that this is best of 5s here from this point onwards. Like, this is Underground Final. It's not the semi-final, it's the final. Best of 3s are done and dusted. It is Replicant versus Aloria. And again, you know, the stats are there. We can talk about the stats for as long as we want to. But crucially, Aloria has beaten a 7-time winner already today in the form of Grimwood. Can Aloria do it again and take out 3-time winner Replicant? It's gonna be a long set. I get the feeling it will be a long set. But as Riffer watches on from the grand final, it is time for the Underground Final. Lollipop for Replicant on the left-hand side of your screen. Aloria on the right-hand side of your screen. Coming in as Min Min. Chiller and Lockjaw versus Shakram and Parasol. Our first match in this best of 5 Underground Final is underway on DNA Labs. And again, both of our respective players just biding their time, getting used to the stage and the playstyle of their opponent. And Replicant is going to be the one who starts with the first damage on the board against the Lawyer with that nice big old time grab. Neither player wants to really take that center stage. Everybody wanted to just cautiously play it around those tubes, and finally Lawyer starts to try and get a little bit more aggressive. Does get not 1 but 2 hits in with that Shrakram, and clearly favoring that Dragon Arm nicely, and Replicant knows that they have to find a way through. Again, gets caught on the back foot again via that Ram, and Lawyer has always been so consistent at that throughout the entire tournament so far today, but the rush is going to come down and neutralize that arm, and again, give Replicant a bit more breathing space. And again, that Lockjaw always does seem to excel at that kind of range, with the second they fling out that fireball and just follow on in with the rest of that punch, and the Chiller again on the backup as well, just to keep Aloy at bay. Rush is going to come out from Aloy, so interesting to try and go for that, despite having such a health deficit, but hey, they definitely feel like they can work their way back into this. They've got 20 seconds to do so. They're on the cusp of critical, and a arm weak on the left-hand side as well. Just about negates the Chill, but Replicant is still with a massive health lead here, and Rush is going to come up. That will do a lot of chip damage, and Aloy knows full well that that is going to be that. There's no way back from there with 3 seconds to go, and that is going to be a knockdown as well. And it's going to be Replicant who starts with the initiative in this matchup. Aloy quickly getting that kickflip up, trying to get the Dragon Arm up on the Ram, and finally does get it as well. They're bringing in the Roaster alongside it, but again, caught out by the Lockjaw. Replicant again just patiently plays this through. They've been here so many times, they know what it's like to be at this level, but Aloy with a grab of their own does manage to at least pop themselves a little bit of time on the field and get a wild little flurry there, gets the stun on Replicant, who was absolutely squeezed against that wall. Nothing that they could have done about that entire situation. Rush will come out again. Unfortunately, Aloy a bit too ambitious there, pinned into the corner, pretty much a hit away from going down, has to go for the rush, knowing full well that Lockjaw would have absolutely KO'd them, doesn't get any purchase on it as a result, and that punch is going to find its way through, and Replicant will lead the set by 1-0. Replicant starting as they mean to go on. They want to book their ticket back into Grand Finals. They want to be back up there fighting for another Challenge Cup. And they are starting out as they need to. Having bested Shetty in the previous matchup. Having bested Shetty and bested Grimwood, to be specific. They want to go that little extra step. They want to keep going at it. But Aloy not giving up without a fight. They've done incredibly well so far just to get back to this position after such a long time of trying. It is going to be Ninja College that we are going to see coming on up. Our second matchup in our best of 5 here in the Underground Final. It's about to be underway. Replicant as Lola, Aloy as Min Min. And we will see who is going to have the lofty height advantage this time around. It's going to be Aloy who starts up on the higher ground. Replicant will be fighting from underneath in the early goings, but we'll see how long that lasts. Chiller, Lockjaw versus Ram and the Hydra coming on out for Aloy. And we'll see if those bolts are able to catch Replicant on the bounce. Especially, I think that's definitely what Aloy is trying to go for, trying to get that curve and the vertical bolts to just try and keep Lollipop a little bit more grounded, put some more pressure in, but again, still being caught out by that Chiller, and again, Replicant so quickly turns that around, gets the high ground advantage, and now the Lockjaw can just start peppering away from up there, and especially with that range as well. Aloy knows they can't really fight without that Dragon Arm at their disposal, and the second Replicant has a rush like that, it's always so hard to get it back from, but finally does manage to run on through with the Hydra, quickly takes the high ground. Once again, they do not want to allow a character that can bounce so high like Lollipop to really take a high ground advantage, and that is going to be a rush straight up in Aloria's face. Pretty much 1 HP left for Aloy as they score again with the Hydra, but again, look at the health deficit. Another Hydra successfully chained in, but again, Aloy knows full well that they cannot take any kind of damage at this point, but gets another grab in. Very impressive showing from Aloy. Again, not giving up, gets a stun, gets a grab. Would you believe this? Replicant's in critical with 20 seconds to go. I don't think anybody saw this one coming. Can the rush hit? The rush can hit. It KO'd. How did Aloy do that? I cannot believe that. 1 HP Aloria manages to make that work. So many successful chains, and the rush does manage to land in the end on Replicant. And they will not be pleased with that entire exchange in the slightest. Replicant does still have a rush almost lined up and ready to go, but again, caught up with another stun into a grab confirmation from Aloria. Finally does get themselves frozen, and the grab goes the other way this time, but Aloria absolutely telling the world that they absolutely deserve to hang with the best and can very much deliver arm weak on the left hand side, but unfortunately the rush is going to shut them down on this occasion, and Replicant is going to make sure they do not leave that spot anytime soon, and they are absolutely fine taking a fight from that advantage. Again, we know Lollipop can just bounce so high and not negate, sometimes even hit arms from such a high peak, and it's just incredibly annoying sometimes as Aloria again starts to work their way back in and again chains them against the wall. Another successful ram hit, make that another one, make that into a grab, and once again Replicant against the run of play finds themselves a critical. That's a rush, that's a KO. That's a KO from Aloria, who ties this set at 1 apiece with not 1 but 2 comeback fights. I mean, the first one was absolutely out of this world, 1 HP, and managed to wrestle Replicant's health all the way back down. And again, Replicant felt like they were in control. They had that in their grasp, they had that under control, and then Aloria, very much against the run of play, just forced them all the way back down to the bottom. Got another chain, got another grab, walled them out, got the rush because of the overcommitment from Rep, and if any of you doubted Aloria, get that doubt out of here. 1 apiece in Underground Final. It means no matter what we go to match 4, but goodness me. What more can you want? What more can you ask for at this stage of a competition? As the community watches on, as Riffa waits at that lofty position of Grand Finals, though in full well they'll have to defend their title against one of these two amazing individuals. Replicant and Aloria, matchup number 3 in this Underground Final. 1 apiece between these two. It is all to play for as we head on into Mausoleum. Nade and Coolerang, Chakram and Hydra, it looks like is what Aloria is going to be locking in with, and here we go. Immediately backflips. Hopefully he was hoping to get the Dragon Arm up, but again, Mausoleum doesn't really give you much space to really have that, and that's why you probably see Replicant also not bringing that Lockjaw in either, coming in with that Coolerang, gets not 1 but 2 chains, but a nice little kickflip from Aloria, and at least manages to negate the grab attempt from Replicant. Does get caught by the nade, and that's where you have to be very careful of. That AoE explosion, it can absolutely catch you out, and so far, Replicant has a little bit more of an easier time here, definitely keeping Aloria grounded, not allowing them to get any kind of offense going. This could absolutely be the first perfect of the stream, and Replicant desperately wants that. And will the Coolerang hit? Not this time, and in fact, the perfect is gonna get wrestled away from them. Aloria again finds themselves on 1 HP, and unfortunately is gonna dash straight on in to the Coolerang this time around, and Replicant is going to take the first point in this match number 3. And again, both immediately just dashed towards the front, shielded in front of each other, and then quickly went straight back into their usual circle dancing routine. Both with rush set and ready to go. Nade explosion straight away just takes Aloria down. It's always so hard to be able to take out that Coolerang and nade combination, and Replicant's making it work beautifully. And the AoE explosion again. We saw Aloria get caught by that with Riffa in the previous set when it was the explosion for that caught them off guard. Now it's another one from Replicant, and 270 damage on that rush, and Replicant again with complete control of this situation. They are looking to just stake their claim on that grand final position, knowing full well that Aloria has to do the comeback all over again, and it's some of these high pressure moments that is just allowing Replicant to just take their time, and especially with the trampoline up as well, Aloria knows they have to make the move here, and Replicant just walls straight on through it. It's not quite a perfect, it's a pixel perfect, but hey, Replicant won't care at this stage. It's a 2-1 lead in this set. Yeah, Rep was not pleased with how that Ninja College matchup went in the previous go round, and well, Aloria just could not do the comeback that time round. Just a bit too one-sided on a stage like Mausoleum, and those arm switches for Replicant very much coming in beautiful for them as well. So it's a 2-1 lead. Replicant knows full well just another couple victories now will net them a grand final appearance for the first time in 14 cups. But Aloria is not out of this just yet. We've seen them come back time and time again. They've taken one game from Replicant. Can they take a couple more? We will soon find out. And Aloria back to Ninja College. Let's see how this is going at this stage. They know full well they have the potential, they have the capabilities to force a match 5, but will this be their undoing? Will Replicant have learned from their previous encounter here that they cannot afford to sit back against anything here? We're going to find out. Aloria, again, Chakram and the Hydra. Replicant gonna not pick that Lockjaw this time around. The Nade and the Coolerang, it very much worked for them in Mausoleum, but can it work for them here as well in Ninja College? Well, Aloria is certainly going to hope that their combination can do so at least, but again, taking that first blow, taking the nade explosion as well, not the start that Aloria would like to have, especially in this 1v1 situation. Does at least get the Hydra on the back foot, so Replicant is going to immediately drop on down, and well, it did give Aloria the Dragonarm, but immediately going to see it yoink straight back away. Does immediately get the back foot and gets the charge straight back up. Manages to avoid the grab on this occasion, but again, cannot afford to be taking too many hits, especially with the arm weak on the left-hand side. Replicant not going to be close enough to really hit with the rush just yet. And again, Aloria tagged a little bit by the explosion from that nade. It is going to go for the rush, trying to bait out some kind of a response from Replicant, but it is just going to be chip damage and nothing more. Does catch him with the Chakram though, and make that 2 in a row for Aloria. And again, they got themselves into the right place and the right mindset, and they absolutely caught Replicant completely by surprise there. Arm weak again on that left-hand side as Replicant looks for a disarm, but again, caught in mid-air. Another stun into a grab, and Aloria just senses a second wind almost. It's almost like they just take a half of the match to get themselves going, and then suddenly it runs straight the opposite way, and Aloria has another point in this matchup. Replicant gonna bring back the Lockjaw alongside that nade as they jump from the high ground, just elegantly in style. Meanwhile, Aloria is gonna get punished on the get-go, but again, Aloria doesn't seem to mind taking the first damage. They always seem to find a way of coming back at them, and both with rush ready to go, and Aloria knows full well that that Lockjaw is an absolute menace, so it's having to try and relearn what you had previously experienced with the Lockjaw and bringing it back into fruition now that that is the arm of choice once more for Replicant. Hydra gonna bounce off the shield this time around as they both jostle for position. Replicant does not want to be down there for too long, but they are going to be the first ones to blink for the rush. Shield up for Aloria, chip damage and nothing more than that. Both arms are going to be weak, and the Lockjaw is going to get cancelled. 180 damage to Replicant. It's not the big damage Aloria was looking for, but it's damage nonetheless, and another successful Chakram hit into a grab combination. Pops Replicant straight back down, and Replicant in no man's land again, but does at least manage to get themselves a nice little bit of an explosion chain. Again, Aloria is not going to be too bothered about that. Does get the Hydra hit, so it immediately falls Replicant, gives them a chance to get the disc back up, and Replicant on the back foot immediately got caught by the Chakram, and Aloria again waited for those kind of moments, but again caught out from behind from that explosion. but another successful Hydra run through. 12 seconds left on the clock. It's Replicant in critical. It's Aloria that isn't. Now, they are both in KO range, and it is going to be both of them going for the rush. Aloria, no! Aloria again, you didn't need a rush. No! Well, it basically means that they both don't have a rush advantage going into this matchup, but crucially, it is set point for Replicant, and that is not what Aloria needed. It's extra pressure on top of everything else that's currently going on. The Chakram is not going to land on this time of Askin. They've got to be so careful going forward here. They know full well that nade has the potential to absolutely ruin their day, as it has done throughout the entire last point. And another successful chain into that grab combination. Replicant bides their time, and again, the explosion is going to tag Aloria. They were going for that grab. They may have potentially got it, but again, it's those kind of moments that you have to be so careful of. Walls them off in mid-air again, and getting very, very close to Replicant here. Both of them with an arm weak. Very much more so for Aloria, and they know full well Replicant does have a rush ready to go as well. Quickly backs on up, gives themselves a chance to breathe and recover a little bit. Both now with rush ready to go, and the arm weak again. Both of which, they're putting so much pressure on each other, but it's Replicant again who gets the big time damage, 315, and quickly tries to keep that middle ground advantage. And Aloria knows full well if they can slowly begin to rail this back in, they may still yet have a chance. A stun would absolutely do it. There is the grab confirmation. Replicant down into critical. Anything at this stage will do it, and there it is. It is the KO for Aloria. It is the point that they were looking for. And the underground final goes the distance. 2-2 is the score. Aloria wants this. Aloria needs this. They want that grand final appearance. They want to be there for the first time ever. They want this so bad. But can they do it? The experience that Replicant brings to the table, we know full well what they're capable of. We know their comfort zones. We know that they're able to play the patient game. They're able to take this as long as physically possible. But Aloria is hanging on in there, and who knows where this is going to go. It's not back to Mausoleum. Replicant is not taking us back to Mausoleum. Instead, we're going to Via Dulce. We're going to Via Dulce. We had Ninja College twice in this set, and now we get Via Heckin' Dulce. What does Replicant have up their sleeve here? Is this a fighter change? I don't think this. I mean, it could be a fighter change. Lola Pop is not the best character at her home turf, ironically enough. So what is Replicant's plan here? Or whatever happens, this set has been enjoyable from start to finish. Will it be Replicant in the grand final? After a 14 cup gap from being in a grand final? Or will Aloria put their name in the history books? We are about to find out. Replicant on the left hand side of your screen gives us the thumbs up. They are ready to go. I am shaking. I'm absolutely shaking. A sign of things to come? We'll see. We'll see. Aloria with the thumbs up. We are good to go. Lola Pop versus Min Min. Lola Pop's home turf. It is going to be the Chillo and the Lockjaw versus the Chakram and the Hydra. Match 5 of this underground final is underway, and it's Replicant who once again starts with the first point of damage. A successful hit with the Chiller robs Aloria of that Dragon Armor. Now, we'll see if they can keep them boxed in into this corner. Aloria needs to ideally knock Replicant down first before they can really go in for that charge on the Dragon Armor. And Replicant knows that. They know that they can fling it with so much. But having said that though, pressure alleviated somewhat And Aloya does have enough time to get the ram charged up. Replicant does have rush now ready to go. But crucially, Aloya is back in that central area. They're no longer being boxed in. And a stun. Unfortunately, couldn't quite get that little bit of extra chain damage they were looking for. But again, gets the shield up on the Lockjaw. Slides on away as the rest of the Lockjaw comes following on in. And quite able to get away from it that time around. 365 damage. But that immediately says, nope, I am not having that. Gets a grab and immediately pins Lola straight into the corner. Beautifully done there, and that is just going to be patiently waited out as Replicant again has the upper hand, has to go for the rush to keep themselves alive, and Replicant just about gets away with that, and Aloya knows that was a missed opportunity. 20 seconds to go, they've got to get something on this rush, but crucially, they've got to find a way to wrestle this back away from Replicant. Does hit with the Hydra, another quick little double in, but unfortunately, got a bit too greedy, and the Lockjaw is going to find its way through, so set point again for Replicant. They had set points in the previous matchup. Now they get it here as well. And Aloya quickly gets the ram charged up and ready to go. But again, it's Replicant who gets that first point of damage, who has the rush ready to go first. Just quickly hops on back, knowing full well that they know that Aloya will have the work to do. And the Shakram again is not going to land. 355 damage. And Replicant is doing everything in their power to make sure Aloya does not make it into a grand final. Not this time. It's another chain. The rush is gonna get cancelled by the Lockjaw. The Fireball robs Aloya of another rush attempt. And it's if it's not the nade, it's the Lockjaw, I guess. And once again, they can't go for the punish. They do get the grab in the end. But again, the Fireball robs them of that initial grab opportunity. Another Shakram charged up hit sends Replicant in towards the corner, but they are almost at rush level, and so far Replicant has hit both of their rushes in this matchup so far, and it looks like they're going to hit another. No, they're not. It's just going to be against the shield this time round, and the Fireball and everything else just comes following on in. Replicant has a good health lead, but we've said that before in Ninja College, and we saw how quickly Aloya turns that around, but they cannot crucially take any further damage, and just about cancels out the Fireball. I don't think that'll be enough for a KO, it won't, but with 20 seconds to go, Aloya keeps themselves alive, but they have got to find a couple of, well, I mean, maybe even just one hit. One hit would absolutely do it, but they cannot afford to take damage themselves, and there is the Shakram! This set has gone the distance. 2-2 in the set. What a piece in this match. Whoever wins is through to the grand final. No more Lockjaw, says Replicant. It is a double chilled approach. Chiller and Burchuk, Shakram and Hydra is going to be how we end this. Aloya is not anywhere close to rush. It's Replicant who starts with the rush advantage. And again, just like in all of the other matchups so far, Replicant starts with the first point of damage on the board. Aloya gets the shield up and unfortunately tried to get away from the rest of it and backed in to 125 damage. And Replicant now doing their best to pin Aloya into the corner. Whilst Aloya does manage to stop the grab attempt, they cannot manage to find a way through with the Shakram, and Replicant is just biding their time now. They know full well. Here comes the rush though. Rush will connect. There'll be finally damage on the board. 270 I think was that total in the end. And Aloya knows they have to go in on the offensive. They know full well that Replicant has control of this matchup so far, and they almost have Rush back up and ready to go. Can they get the arm up? They can, but Replicant is so close to Rush, and another successful chilled up hit. Another successful chain, and that is gonna be that. Replicant is just too patient, too good, too experienced, and Replicant is gonna book their ticket into grand final. Aloya is gonna be left waiting once again. It's another third place finish for Aloya. But so close, but just Replicant just too much in the end for them. Well, it is what it is. At the end of the day, Aloy with an impressive run, it must be said, managing to get into the top 3 for only the second time ever. So close. They fought so hard and so valiantly to try to make it in to the grand final, but it's just not going to happen this time around. Their second attempt at making it to grand, but it is unfortunately not going to go their way once again. But still, an amazing showing from Aloy from start to finish, and I can only hope that Aloy keeps on going, because they are so close to finally finding a breakthrough, but just not to be at this stage. And so, as it has played out before, and we have seen this matchup before so many times as well, it is going to be Replicant who will be taking on reigning champion Riffa in the grand final. And obviously remember that Replicant came in through the underground bracket. Riffa already through via virtue of winning that winner's final matchup against the Lawyer earlier today. The 20-time winner and reigning champion to go up against 3-time winner Replicant. And it looks like we are set and ready to go. After an incredible set, after an incredible matchup, we now go to Replicant versus Riffa. Lollipop on the left-hand side of your screen, Tribolt and Powerballer. Riffa on the right-hand side of your screen, who immediately opens up with a grab, because of course Riffa wants to start immediately on the aggressive foot. Does finally get peppered down by the Powerball, and actually gets caught with a grab of Replicant's own, who is just basically going, anything you could do, I could do just as well, if not that little bit better. And as the Powerballer wanders on through, pretty much uncontested, Riffa knowing full well they're going to have to take that damage. Thankfully they can take it. It's not the electrified state that it normally can be very dangerous in. Again, Riffa with that red mask immediately goes in on the offensive, just knowing full well that Replicant has the potential to be able to be a bouncing nuisance, but again, just uncontested through that rush. Replicant doesn't get caught on it this time around. But again, the warning sirens are very much going to be there with the red mask on. Replicant knows full well they cannot get through that at all. Again, just utilizing the pillars on temple ground to the best of their advantage. The bolts will at least knock them down. The break on the right hand side for Riffa as well, but again, that cracker on the back foot sees Replicant immediately be dropped straight on their butt, and another successive hit from Riffa does get caught on the backup though. The rush does go through and pop Riffa into critical condition with just 20 seconds left on the clock, but now quickly jumps that right back on the other side. Replicant in a lot of trouble, breaks through the arm as well. 13 seconds on the clock. Riffa with health advantage, but we know full well anything can still happen. Replicant on 1 HP, but it is going to be the follow-up punch from Le Champion that is going to take the initiative away from Replicant. And Riffa knowing full well they only need to win one best-of-5 set here in the grand final to be able to take home that crown, that belt once again. It is going to be the blue mask that just speeds Riffa on up, and again just juggling Replicant up. 235 damage thanks to that Coolerang. Nothing that they could do about it. The pillar could not protect them from that, but they do manage to get themselves a grab again on the back foot, keeping that health level for the time being, and does manage to fling in through a chiller as well. But crucially, Riffa still managing to find the marks with these curved arms, and again the cracker just pops Replicant straight back down. And that is the main worry that Replicant has here. The cracker just covers so much of an area, but again that rush, 320 damage, pops Riffa into critical, and they are just a punch away potentially. Well, now they're definitely a punch away for taking Replicant down, and maybe, not Replicant, Riffa down, and the Powerballer just walls it on out. A little mini shield just wanders up to Missango and just gives them a firm reminder that, yeah, that Brawler still pretty scary. But speaking of scary, it's time for the Megawatt for Riffa. Big ol' fighting electric orb of goodness. And again, immediately coupled with the Cracker, it's such a dangerous combination that we've seen Riffa utilize time and time again. Utilizing a heavy, slow arm like the Megawatt and a very quick firing arm like the Cracker. Unfortunately, the arm is going to go down on the right-hand side. And a full-on shock as well from Replicant, who absolutely turns that combination right on its head. And Riffa, unfortunately, dropped the shield down at the worst possible moment, got caught with a chiller hit as well. And suddenly, the turns have tabled, as Replicant has the health lead with Riffa into critical condition. Now, the red mask comes up, and Replicant knows full well the dangers that that brings, but again, manages to disarm them with another successful chiller hit. Bites as the battle starts to wear on in. Replicant knows full well they only need one more hit from pretty much anything, and they will absolutely take this first point. Very much against how Riffa really opened on up with, but unfortunately the rush is going to go in Riffa's favor. Both now down into critical position, but crucially Riffa does no longer have that get out of jail free card, and it's again the chiller that finds a way through. And Replicant is gonna have themselves the first point in this matchup. What just happened? What? Well, that just happened. I've never seen that happen before. The switch. Wow, that's a new one. Wow, I've never seen that one happen before. So yeah, the switch just turned itself off for no reason. Like, I have been touching buttons, so it shouldn't have done that at all, but boy howdy, that's a new one. Yeah, we're fine, everything is good. That was unfortunate. Alright, so I need to get back into the lobby, so just give me one moment. Thank you very much. Alright, so that was unfortunate, to say the least. I've never seen that one happen before. Like, I definitely didn't touch anything, so I was incredibly confused, but thankfully it happened after the match was done, so we're all okay. Everything is fine. Spicy Games overheated the switch. Honestly, we'll definitely chalk it down to that one. That was. Anyway, that is your quick reminder to make sure to stay hydrated. I certainly need it. Oh my gosh. That was funny. Still, it gives this girl a chance to have a quick little breather before we go straight back on into the thick of things. Replicant leads the grand final by 1 point to 0. Remember, this is double elimination rules, so a bracket reset could still yet happen if Replicant finds a way of besting Riffa another couple of games. Replicant on the left-hand side of your screen with that tribot, with that lockjaw, as Riffa begins their usual dance on their home turf. Ice Dragon and Triblast in hand. And yeah, crucially, Riffa has switched back to Ninjara. They are not messing around. They want to tidy this set up and dusted here and now. Still going to get tagged by that lockjaw though, and they know full well that whilst the Triblast do cover a lot of ground for a character like Lola, Replicant is using a similar kind of tactic against Ninjara as well. So it honestly will be down to who gets the better purchase of it, and unfortunately the start is going to go to 380 in the favor of Riffa. Replicant finds themselves in critical already. But again, that lockjaw, we've seen it be used so many times throughout this tournament so far today, and they are doing absolutely everything in their power to keep that fireball walling Riffa against that corner. But the ninja is a very slippery bugger, and just sliding on out, taking that central ground for the time being. Replicant has the high ground, immediately bounces on down, but unfortunately the Ice Dragon is just going to curve around, clip them at their feet, and take that point away once again. Riffa did take the initial point last time around, but did still fail to win overall. But they are going to be determined to not see that one happen a second time in a row, and unfortunately cannot get away from Replicant's rush either. So a lot of damage for Replicant to deal with very early on in this matchup. Riffa does have a rush set and ready to go as well. But having said that, this normal damage from Riffa is just incredibly consistent at the moment. The Tri-Blast and the Ice Dragon, we've seen it work beautifully time and time and time again. And the rush, again, 350 damage. And no sooner does Replicant have a pretty decent start and starts to get that running in the opposite direction, Riffa just turns it straight back into their favor. Replicant into critical condition. Another successful hit with the Tri-Blast, just exploding in Replicant's face. It does its damage, then it explodes. Again, Lola is just really a hit or two away from really going down. Riffa is going to at least get a bit of that away. The Lockjaw does not hit with the explosion, so it's just 110 damage. And Riffa, well, having said that, Riffa has now been forced into critical. And actually, Replicant with another successful 1-2 chain. And they're just looking for one more hit as well. They're both in critical. They're both so close to being taken out here. And 20 seconds left on the clock. Riffa knows they have to advance up the stairs if they want to take this. And every single time Riffa fires out the dragon, Replicant has an answer for it. And with 10 seconds on the clock, oh, the dragon hits! Oh, the shield dropped at the last possible moment. And it just goes straight through the heart. Lola is to blame. And Riffa is going to take another point away. So it's 1 apiece in grand final. So, back the way we go. This matchup is absolutely on another level at the moment. And sometimes it's a little hard to figure out who this really favors more as we head on in to sparring ring between these two now, Lollipop and Ninjara. Both of these people, both of these individuals, we know full well the experience that they have. We know how comfortable they are with their respective characters and the arms that they deliver with. Popper and Burchuk will be the option to go up against the Tri-Blast and the Windy Slap of Riffa. And again, another successful pick with that slam. Pops Replicant down into the corner. And again, already such a great little start between these two, as the snap is again just going to go against Replicant, shoved back into the corner. No gimmicks on this stage. It's just a nice boxed in sparring ring, literally living up to its name. And again, Replicant caught out with the tail end of that Tri-Blast, both with rush ready to go. Riffa had theirs on lockdown pretty much early on, but again, both exchanging their windy hits. That Popper, such a straight edge immediately into your face, quick firing arm against that curved nature of the slab, which can do so much damage as well in its rush state as well. It just juggles up and chains for such a long time. And Replicant is going to be the one who bats first with the rush, but unfortunately gets nothing with it. The teleportation of Riffa just keeps them completely safe and sound. The arm was weak on the side there for Replicant, but crucially they do have their health lead, but they've got to be very careful here. They at least managed to get a trade and a knockdown, so Riffa can't take advantage of the charged hit of their own, but that is a very weak arm, and they just about get away with that. Or do they? 255 damage on the back foot. I thought Replicant must have thought they got away with it. They at least managed to find a popper hit but crucially, it's Riffa who has the health lead and almost gets the KO with the Tri-Bolt as well. Shields out the rest of the Birdchuck, denies them the grab opportunity, and Riffa is going to steal that point right towards the end there. Replicant will be feeling that one. They thought for sure they got away with that rush, but unfortunately, that quick little flick back from Riffa at least managed to get a bit more damage, and that was just enough to take it away from Replicant, who does start with rush again. But guess who's going to immediately avoid the lot of it? The answer is Riffa, for the most part as well. Just takes a tiny bit of damage towards the tail end, but again, they'll be absolutely fine with that. Caught by the nade on the explosion, so Replicant really trying to go for a bit more of a boxy nature here, and gets the shield up in time. Riffa knows full well that is not going to be the damage that they were looking for. Again, very even Stevens in this early goings at the moment. Riffa just has a slight health lead, but it can all very much change. But again, relying on those bolts to try and catch Lola off guard. And again, the second Replicant gives Riffa some range, they'll immediately utilize those, well, I say long range grabs, but I was going to say the Dragon Arm really. But again, 300 damage, walls Riffa into the corner, which is exactly what Replicant needs to do, and just make it that a little bit easier to get the successful read on those little side teleports that Ninjara so often utilizes. Manages to get not one but two knockdowns in a row, despite the arm being weak on the right hand side, so Replicant couldn't take advantage of it whatsoever. 20 seconds left on the clock. Riffa has rush advantage and the lead, and another chained out into the corner. Replicant again has it all to do, but dashes straight into the Tri-Blast. And Riffa has a 2-1 advantage in the grand final. Riffa looking to win their 21st cup. They are 2 KOs away from doing exactly that. DNA Lab is going to be the pick, and I'm not entirely sure how smart of a pick that's going to be for Replicant, bearing in mind it's such a big stage. We've got 6 tubes there at their disposal, and we know the Dragon Arm, the Ice Dragon that Riffa brings to the table time and time and time again, excels so well at ranged scenarios. But Replicant is going to pick DNA Labs regardless, and this could be their last stand. We will see. Lollipop versus Ninjara. Tri-Blast, Ice Dragon for Riffa, Chiller, Power Bola for Replicant. It's all to play for. And as we get ourselves underway, both just biding their time here, trying to get some kind of purchase. They both hit each other at the same time. Riffa gets the Ice Dragon to hit, but crucially, Replicant gets a knockdown with Riffa being in the air, so Riffa couldn't take advantage, but Replicant couldn't do anything apart from just stand there and wait for the ice to wear off. And again, another quick little chain from Riffa, pops that health lead back onto their side of the field quickly, dashes away from the power ball and rushes straight through the second attempt. 390 damage. The Ice Dragon always does so much in its rush state. And again, manages to get a chiller of their own back at Replicant, but again, Riffa just waits for it, just sits there, standing behind one of the tubes. They know full well that basically this stage just gives them that little extra shield, but finally the power baller hit, and that is going to be a lot of damage. 330 straight back at Riffa, and despite the start that Riffa had, they are the first ones into critical. Replicant is only a hit away from dipping on into there, and that chip damage finally does send it. With 30 seconds left on the clock, Replicant has the tiniest of health leads at this stage, and the arm weak for Riffa on the right hand side. But again, another successful Tri-Blast hit wrestles control back into their favor and actually goes for the rush just to make sure that Replicant cannot do any comeback shenanigans, as we have seen throughout this entire tournament. And scratch it off your bingo cards. It's championship point for Riffa, who immediately starts with a 1-2 chain. As the laser begins to flick on round for another tube hit, Replicant has to do it all. Gets at least another little tap in. Misses with the grab though, and immediately gets caught with another Tri-Blast hit. Thankfully it wasn't charged up, but again, they cannot afford to be taking this much damage this early on. Riffa is always just never going to give up. Actually goes for the rush to get themselves out of the ice. And doesn't really get any proper purge with it. Like, their attempts to just get out of dodge really gave Replicant a chance. But the dragon is going to punish the rush as well. The dragon was up just as it went. And the laser just went straight through Replicant. And nothing that he could do about it. Very much still close though, with 50 seconds left on the clock. And Riffa is still getting caught out by a little hit or two. In fact, the Tri-Blast got disarmed there as well. So a self-destruct for Riffa, who does now have rush advantage. That the dragon again begins to just chain off of Replicant shield. They're not too far away from a rush of their own, but again tagged by the Tri-Blast. They will not be wanting to take any more damage from that. Get themselves a chiller hit, but again Riffa pops the rush to just immediately take them out of the ice and put Replicant on the back foot. Now knowing full well that Riffa has the health lead, Replicant knows they have to find it, and the dragon is gonna get them again! With 6 seconds to close, they at least get a chill hit. Now, can they do anything with this? They have to hit Riffa at least one more time, and it's not going to happen. Your winner, and still the EU Arms Challenge Cup champion for the 3rd cup in a row, it is Le Champion, Revolutionary Riffa. He wins it for the 21st time. What else needs to be said?